below that, maybe.
Okay, good evening.
Hello, everyone.
Let's see if I can get that a little higher.
We are working on trying to get the link up so that Scarboro Sasquatch Station, who will be our guest tonight, can enter the stream. Our verse tonight that we'll start with is 1 Peter 2:9. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. That's 1 Peter 2:9. And we'll go ahead and open in prayer. Father, thank you for this platform. Thank you for being you. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for all the people that you will bring here now and in the future. We praise you. We pray for your protection, your continued protection, as we know that you already give, but we ask for complete blocking of the eyes, ears, mouths, and keyboards of the enemy. And we pray that those with ears to hear will hear the things that we need to speak about tonight. And we thank you for our guest, and we just love you. In Jesus' name, amen. Let's see who's in the stream so far.
Let me check.
Scarboro Sasquatch. We're trying to get the link in there for you. Could we do it on? The phone is acting goofy. There it goes.
There we go.
There we go. Henry White Jr. is here. So
Hey, Henry.
Watching. Hi, Henry. Linda from Texas is here. Tennessee is here.
D-Worm.
D-Worm. Hi. Welcome, everybody. And hopefully we'll see Scarboro Sasquatch Station show up here in just a few minutes. He's got 50 years of Bigfoot experience, and then he will also be on our stream on the next Tracking Miracles and Encounters to talk in specific about divine intervention and protection.
Also, the Bigfoot documentary. It's $101 Cashapp. It's also in the description below. Morning Tracker Talks. That's for the trackers, honorary trackers, and the Patreon members. Also, to become a Patreon member, it is in the description. And all of our trackers, we want you to also understand that you don't have to be a Patreon member to be in the Morning Tracker Talks. Now, I hope there wasn't any misunderstanding there. All of our trackers need to be there. We value the input and the information that you share with us. So we just wanted to let you know, Morning Tracker Talks every Tuesday and Friday, 9:30 a.m. Central Time Zone. Also, tomorrow, Thursday evening, we're also having another stream at 7:30. It's a different time that we're going to have that a little later. We may move to a little later time because of the time difference, time change. But we're going to have a repeat. And TrackerElla, if you're available, we would love to have your story because we're going to be talking about that on Thursday, the 18th. We're having a stream just like this one called Thresholds, Water Spirits, and Things Not to Do. That's Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. Central Time Zone. It's going to be a little later, but we're going to be talking about the water spirits and things like that also. And TrackerElla, we know that you have stories about that. And we're just waiting on Scarboro Sasquatch. Is there anything?
Hi, Mary. Hi, TrackerElla.
Mary TrackerElla.
Glad y'all are here. Not sure if Parkway's in the room yet, but if Mary's TrackerElla says okay.
All right.
Parkway, if you're in the room, if you have Scarborough's email or another way to get a hold of him, would you do that? We can't get off of this one phone to get him.
And he may just be a little bit late, but we didn't actually have a way to contact him except for leaving messages on his YouTube page, on his stream, and we hope that he checked that. But also, if you aren't a Patreon member or a tracker or a honorary tracker, we had a meeting today, which we have every Tuesday and Friday mornings. Lots of valuable information there. We shared kind of like what we're going to be talking about on Thursday about love and how to deter Bigfoots from your homes. Also, that love is a deterrent. We talked about that. We also talked about using a beeper, and we also want to LeadTrackerE or TrackerElla. We would like to have you here with us on that because your stories, they go hand in hand with you're the example that everyone needs to hear from. I mean, we can talk about it and we can tell people or give people the information on what to look for and things like that, but you actually have the stories of everything that we talk about. I mean, you're just like the confirmation, and we do appreciate your input also.
We have 3 Facebook pages: Oklahoma Bigfoot Predator Watch, Antlers and Surrounding Areas, the Choctaw Missing and Murdered Woman, WOMBMAN, and Son Center and Database, and also the LeadTrackerE Facebook page. And we post different information on each of those, so if y'all would subscribe to those, and also to the LeadTrackerE channel, which is where you will get the standing feather stories and also the tracking miracles and encounters new episodes. So be sure you sign up for those too. And if you haven't on here, like and subscribe, hit your notifications and all that while we wait for Scarboro to come in.
And my apologies, I forgot to mention Tracking Miracles and Encounters. But also Scarboro will be also on Friday night for that also, 0505. What was the other one? Oh, the Standing Feather Stories. We're going to be having another one pretty soon. Whenever we get time, it's been hectic with everything going on right now, but we got it under control. Don't worry about that. But we will be getting those to you as soon as these times come up.
I'll go check.
Okay. So for right now, we're gonna we have a pet outside we're gonna bring in real fast. Because we can't watch the pet out there, and we don't want the pet out there while we're inside.
It's in a pen, let them know.
But she is in a pen. She's safe and everything. But we still feel like we need to, whenever she makes a bark or something, we need to get her in. We have been catching blurs and some things like that in the wood line. And she's hit on it quite a few times. Let's see. Scarboro he has 50 years of Bigfoot activity. Also, he's had some close encounters, and we're going to be sharing those he's going to be sharing those with us tonight. Hey, Scarboro, Sasquatch, there you are. We've been waiting a little bit. If you can, Scarboro, right above, maybe about 3 or 4 comments, is the link for StreamYard for you to get into the room here. And we will begin, we're just giving a little introduction for you. 50 years of Bigfoot. This is going to be interesting. This is going to be a lot of information that we all need to know. He may have some information. I'm sure he has a lot of information. We're going to secure the puppies for right now so they don't jump around in their cages.
She's wound up.
The puppy's wound up. Okay, Scarboro. Let me try. That link is right above there, but I'm going to send it through here again. Just click on that. Click on that, and then it should bring you right in. And Scarboro had a little construction on the route, so, but he's here now.
And y'all also go subscribe to his channel. He has got just such a unique way of seeing things and presenting what he sees. He did a video for us that we were just blown away by. It was fantastic, and he just has such a neat style, just his own original style. So y'all be sure you subscribe to his channel as well.
But also Thursday, after this, Thursday evening, 7:30, while we're waiting for Scarboro to link in, don't miss Thursday night also. We're doing a repeat because we see a lot of things happening that we've already talked about that people need to know about. It's getting close to those summer times of going swimming. Memorial Day is coming up. There's a lot of drownings that happen at that time. We know why, but a lot of people just overlook it. So we're going to be doing another one on thresholds, water spirits, and things not to do. So we're going to be covering that on Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. on the 18th while we wait for Scarboro. Also Friday, we have the morning tracker talks. And if you're not a Patreon member, if you'd like to become a Patreon member, it's a support way, but it also shows the initiative to that you want to know more. And I think we've got Scarboro here.
All the times that we list are Central Time Zone.
Central Time Zone.
There he is.
So let's welcome Scarboro Sasquatch to the air here.
Hello.
Name.
Hello. Hi.
Thanks for the name.
How you doing? My name's Tom Scarborough. Okay. And my girlfriend's Heather. Okay.
Hi, Heather.
All right.
Heather behind you.
I look a little white here. Oh. All right. Okay. How you doing? Can you hear me fine? All right.
Your girlfriend kind of looks like a ghost sometimes.
The way it came up in the background.
She just appeared.
Yeah.
All right.
Good to see you.
Good. Thanks.
The way that we work is you just tell us what you want to tell us. We won't
Okay.
interrupt
Sure.
you.
Okay.
And you take the floor, and if we have questions and comments, we'll
Okay.
take notes and we'll ask them at the end.
At the end.
Okay. Sure. Okay. I live in Scarborough, Ontario, Southern Ontario. Okay.
Oh.
All right. My adventure started when I was a little kid, about 7 years old. I used to live down in downtown Toronto, so we were, every Saturday we were allowed to, go down the end of the street, but we weren't allowed to cross the major street and go across to the other side. But there was a junior high school or something like that on the other side, right? And I was getting this a feeling like you're being drawn to this schoolyard, right? right? And I'm only set, and I noticed that every time, we got to go down to the end of the street, right? And so I took a chance. I went like on Saturdays. I was allowed to go. We were only allowed to. Rest of the week, we were only allowed to hang out outside the front door, right? So, but on Saturdays, because people are home, parents and all that, kids everywhere off school, I'd venture down to the, about 3 blocks down, and then I cross the street because I was being drawn to this other side of the street, like something was like a magnet was drawing me there. So I go to the schoolyard. Finally, I end up going to the schoolyard, and the first time I went there, I see a brick wall, for the border of the schoolyard, right on the far side, right. I come from enter one from the north, and entered, and there was a school. The brick, two kinds of brick, right? There was an old brick, couple over 100 years old, and then in the middle, in the junction, there was a newer brick wall, right? They were all both attached together, right? When I would be drawn to this brick, just something drawn me to the brick wall, I'd follow it down, and I got to the middle of the junction where the two separate brick walls are attached, and I could sense some kind of energy. I was only 7 years old, and I was sensing energy. So what I noticed was a black portal on the brick walls, half on the older brick, right? Like a 3-foot circumference, okay, 3 feet, but a 3-foot diameter circumference, right? Sort of like, how do you say, not gloss black, but like flat black sort of color, right? That I could sense, I could see, right? The outline of this, right, on the brick wall. It wasn't like regularly visible, but I could see this outline, right, and the color, right, and what was somehow I came to the conclusion something was telling me. I was getting a message sent to me that this was oh God, what happened? I was getting a message. Yeah, I'm okay. I was getting a message like that. This is a portal. I was being told that this was a portal. I was getting an external telepathy message, right? That so the first time, I got a stick because I did not want to stick my hand in there. I was, I don't know how I knew all this information. I'm only 7, but I was being fed this information somehow from an external source. Okay, so I got a stick, but the stick wouldn't go in, but I could see the outline. And I somehow knew that this was a portal. So I came back the next weekend, the next Saturday, same thing. It wasn't active, the portal, right? But the third Saturday I came back, all of a sudden I could sense, as soon as I entered the before I even entered across the street, I could sense the energy had doubled, right? And so as I entered into the schoolyard, I was drawn immediately right to the brick wall, followed it down, and this time I could see the color had changed to a brighter color, but like that I could sense like through my own vision. At first, it looked like grayish color or whatever, but I could see the outline of the diameter, the circumference of the black diameter portal, right? So I got a stick, right? Same thing. I was afraid to stick my hand in, and I got the stick, and actually, the stick went into the brick wall this time, okay? Right? A couple inches, right? And I pulled it out, right? And I'm curious. I had a friend there. I knew, an acquaintance, not a good friend or anything, just an acquaintance from the neighborhood, right? Who was allowed to play there. So I hung out with him just to be safe or whatever, and he had a little, play ball, whatever, a little sort of soccer play ball, right? And we're, whatever. So I was curious, and I decided I was going to experiment, and I kicked the ball to the brick wall, and it went right in through the portal, right? Right. Like, I was flabbergasted. So, right. I was flabbergasted. The ball did not come back out. Right. And, now I have to account for this missing ball. All right. To my friend who's the same age. Right. and he had an older brother in the courtyard, in the schoolyard there, playing with. He was about 4 years, about 11 or 12, and he was a real bully, beating up every kid and stuff like that, right? So, but he was at least 50 feet, 100 feet away from us, so we were temporarily safe. So, but as long as he stayed way over on the other side. But he comes back into the story later on. Okay, so what happened after was here we what happened was after I kicked the ball in, right? You know, my friend after about 5 minutes goes, "Hey, where's my ball you borrowed?" You know, I said, "I don't know. I left it here somewhere," and we're pretending we're looking for the ball, right? Okay, and all of a sudden, looking around, and all of a sudden, I'm looking around, I'm looking at the portal, I'm wondering how am I going to get this ball back? And the next thing you know, out jumps a little dude, about 15 inches tall, a little dwarf or elfin type of person, a dwarf, right? Right, a little dwarf, 15 inches. He was lanky sort of build, right? Thin build, right? Little gray beard, sort of uh, short hair, a little cap, right? Clothes, green clothes, blue clothes. Sorry, he had blue clothes. He looked like a little dwarf type guy with a little cap and little, pants and jacket and that, right? And he's got the ball in his hand. He's looking around to see, how did this ball get, kicked into the, and end up into the portal, right? He's looking around to see who the owner is of this ball. And I said, and I look at him and I said, "Oh, you have my ball." He goes, "You can see me, and that, right?" And I said, "Yes, I can see you," right? And he starts giving me heck for, kicking the ball into the portal. Says, "People could have seen you do that and this and that, whatever." So I don't know why I was able to kick the ball in, right? Maybe other people, they couldn't do it or something. I don't know if they tried to kick, like enter the portal. Maybe I don't know, but he was giving me heck that I could have exposed the portal to people who weren't supposed to be able to see, So so he had the ball, and then another little dude comes out. This one it was wearing a green outfit, same thing, about 14, 15 inches tall, right? And he comes out and he's, starts hanging out with the guy, and they're both talking to me. The green guy was more elfish looking, and the other guy was like a dwarf type guy, and they're both thin build, right? Okay, so yeah, so they're whatever in that. And he gave me the ball back, right? And and he said, "Don't ever do that again," and whatever. And so what happened was, after I went and told my little friend there, in the schoolyard, and about, these little characters and that, right? I didn't tell him about the portal though. I just said I seen these guys and that. And he went and told his older brother, right? If it was true that these things exist. And then so his older brother, the bully, comes back and starts threatening me, right? In the meantime, the two little elfin and dwarf character entities had gone back inside the portal. I watched them go enter back in. So after, when there was an argument ensuing, they came back out to see what was going on, the commotion, right? Where, the older brother was telling me these things don't exist, and I'm going to beat you senseless if you ever talk about it again, and that. And I said, "Okay, I won't, and whatever." And then I don't know, somehow I avoided the, getting punched out. But so he went back to where he was with his friend, but he kept looking over at me and snarling and getting aggravated, and came back and he says, "What? I'm going to thump you right now, because I don't like whatever. I'm going to make sure you never talk about these things, right?" And I'm like, but in the meantime, like I said, as those two little characters had come back out of the portal, and when I'm getting beat up, I'm saying, help me, or something, right? And they said, "We can't help you because we can't get exposed." You know what I mean? We can't let anyone see us, right? And so I ended up, getting, thumped out bad, black eye and bloody nose, this guy beat me bad, for a little kid. I was only 7, small, whatever. And this guy was big and a big bad bully for a 11, 12-year-old kid. So, and I guess he was terrified of, whatever, if we could had an imagination or whatever it was, but then, but I never went back to the schoolyard because of what happened. I wanted to avoid that guy. So that happened when I was 7. Okay. You can ask me a question or two if necessary. What have to
What we like to do is
at the end?
start at the beginning and let you
Yeah.
tell us everything, because there's stories from 7, maybe 10.
Okay.
12,
Okay. All right. That's
taking
fair.
And
notes.
we're taking notes.
If we're looking
yes,
at
yes.
them, we're just writing.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, no problem. All right. Give me a second here. All right. So that was my first cryptid adventure. Okay. When I was 7, that was the schoolyard, near my home, with the little people there, the elf and the little dwarf, and I was really I was really hoping that they were gonna be able to help, but I understood though that they couldn't risk being seen or whatever, and somehow I was different, that I was able to see these little entities compared to other people, and they were right there where everyone was standing around and they couldn't see them, so they were putting up some kind of illusion or something that these other kids couldn't see. You understand that part? Yeah, okay. But I was able to see them, no problem, clear as day. Okay, they weren't glitching or anything. They were solid entities. Okay, they weren't translucent. They were physical, solid entities. Okay, all right. So that was when I was 7. So later on, about 8 or 9 years old, I was at home, kid, watching TV, and I see the Mike Douglas show with that Roger Patterson comes on and shows the Patty Bigfoot film, right? And right away, boom, I knew that the creature was real. Like, no doubts in my mind. I knew that was a real creature. Okay. And somehow, like, we're sitting on the couch, it opened a door inside my mind or something. As soon as I admitted that it was real to myself or something. Right. And then later on, you're seeing, shows like the $6 Million Man with Bigfoot in there. So the memory of Bigfoot is continuing along, okay? Every year or so, all right? It's building up, okay? So the next thing is we're about 12 years old, and my next door neighbor, David, I was supposed to go camping, but something happened. My mom got sick that weekend. I couldn't go. It was in the summertime, and so they went to a place camping, and he had the Sasquatch encounter. He was there with his brother Michael, and they just split off the trail for like 20, 30 seconds, and he had the encounter. And when his brother found him, he was like white as a ghost, and told him, Michael never lied, so I believed him 100%. And he told me he found him, like freaked out and all, what is. So somehow, so comes back and he's telling me about this encounter, and that keeps the memory going, the storyline of Bigfoot, Sasquatch, right? Somehow, and so the next year I joined Scouts, and I was there for 2 years. So I'm 14 years old now, and we go camping. First time I get to go camping outside, without my family present, away from my family. All right. So, and I've been discussing Sasquatch here and there every summer, as where we lived in Ontario there every winter. You just thought about hockey and snow and ice and staying warm. Okay. So, but Bigfoot was more of a summer topic where we lived. Okay. So, so that would ignite the memory, and other, we talk about stuff like that, and other things like Loch Ness, and those big talk. The little handbook came out, that I think back there when we were about 12, the Mysteries of the World or something handbook, with about Loch Ness, the Bermuda Triangle, whatever, Bigfoot, stuff like that. Okay, and UFOs or whatever, all that kind of stuff. Right. So that kept the topic of Bigfoot, Sasquatch, fresh in the memory. And after, so when we were going camping, hold on, Heather, I got a black screen. Okay, there. Keep getting black screen for some. All right. Okay. Afterwards, when I went camping, first time we were going camping, it was in April. We're going to practice for the summer jamboree in August. So we went there to practice our orientation and orientation and whatever else, orientation, mapping skills, that kind of stuff. So I had a bad allergic reaction with I went up with the scout leader and his son, and he was in charge of setting up the tent and all that, and he pitched it on some noxious weeds. I had an allergic reaction the next morning while I'm laying in my sleeping bag. So luckily they had the oxygen tank and mask there to help me it triggered my bronchial asthma. So I had to stay back on a chair, wait while they got to go out, the rest of the troop, to do the practice or the skills, and earn a badge or two or whatever for their scout their scout badges and stuff. And also that it didn't involve me, because I didn't go on the last camping trip there for the jamboree. Was the other troop members were being blamed for the horrible presentation that they bombed out, right? Came in last, and they were embarrassed, the scout leaders. So, and we were in a rougher neighborhood too, and that we were like, sort of like the outcasts of the rest of the troops across Ontario. So that didn't help either. So anyway, so everyone got to go off that morning, and I had to sit on the chair for about an hour or so till I felt better. And if I did, I could come and meet them at, where they were, just about 100 yards down the in the little valley there. All right. Where we were up in Orangeville, Ontario, there where we the Scouts Canada had their jamboree, scout private land or something, or whatever it was. Next thing you know, so hold on, I was so I'm sitting there, and I think there was one other guy who was there to watch over me, make sure nothing happened. They couldn't just leave me there alone, or they get in big trouble if something happened to me, while they were gone. So, and he was just, meddling around, whatever, doing this and that. And I said, yeah, I'm feeling better, whatever. I told him, the hour was almost up. And I said, you can go and meet the other people there, the troop, right? I'll be okay. I'll catch up with you shortly, right? So next thing you know, and so I'm sitting in the chair, and next thing you know, I have a vision, right? Like a Sasquatch appears, Bigfoot, just past my knee high level. I'm sitting in a chair, like just a regular chair, with my feet on the ground, like this, like I am now, and it appears just off knee high level, about a 7 foot high Sasquatch, interdimensionally, right? Spiritual, interdimensional, whatever you want to call it, right? Right in front of me, right? About 3 feet in front of me, knee high level and up, right? And brown color. And it tells me, don't be afraid, right? Don't be afraid. So I'm getting this message, and it talked to me for about a minute. I mentioned a couple things, just like I just mostly remember not to be afraid, and that. And I don't remember too much about the other stuff. Right? So I said, okay, I won't be afraid. I said, I'm not afraid. Okay. And it didn't tell me its name or anything like that, if that was important. I didn't ask. It didn't tell me its name. If it did, I don't remember. I don't recall. But so the next thing I said, I talked to it for about a minute, and that a few words here and there, and I don't know. And then it disappeared. And so the next day, when we're out orienteering and mapping, I noticed a rock stack, right? The flagstone or sandstone, like three of them stacked up, and another smaller ball, like roundish ball, rock on top. And I was with these two other guys, and I tell them, look, there's a rock stack, and we're checking it out down by the river, right, just off the river there. And next thing you know, I see another rock stack. I said, hold on, you guys check this one out. I see another one over there. I'm going to go check that one out, right? And there was a ridge line that came down and hid part of the river that the two guys couldn't see me. I was partially blocked, and there was some trees behind the ridge. There was a ridge line, and there was a part of it came down and blocked part of the view. So I'm there standing there looking at the rock stack, and the same Sasquatch now appears between two trees there, but in a physical form. It tells me again not to be afraid. Okay, not to be afraid. All right. I said, I'm not afraid. All right. I said, you didn't hurt me yesterday. I'm not afraid. I said, he says, are you going to tell your friends? I said, no, I'm not going to tell them because of what had happened to me when I was 7 there, got beat up by the bully. I wasn't going to say anything to anyone, so that really affected me. And I said, no. And it just same thing, talked to me for about 30, 45 seconds more after that, couple things. And same thing, just before it vanished, said, don't be afraid. And I heard those guys coming up, and I turned around and, to talk to them, and they're saying, who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? They said, right? But the two other scout guys, kids, they're teenagers, troop members, are saying, who are you talking? I said, no one. I'm talking to myself, I said. I'm talking to myself, right? I didn't want them to know that. But when I turned around, the Sasquatch had gone, right? Vanished. So, I didn't see him come, walk forward. But, when I looked, he was there between the two trees. There was a clump of trees. There was an opening between the two trees. He was standing there. Same Sasquatch I'd seen the day before. The first time was interdimensionally. The second time was in a physical form. All right. And let's see. So I didn't tell them. I kept it to myself. And that. All right. So that was when I was 14 years old. The next time was when we're 18, 19 years old, somewhere around there. I was fishing I went fishing with my father. And when we used to go fishing with my father, the family, right, to this place, Stony Lake, up by Peterborough, Ontario, and picnic there and go fishing, either the lake or the river, the falls up there. And we used to come to this little valley dip in the road, and we used to always call it Bigfoot, the Bigfoot road here, because every time we reached that dip in that road, you could smell, the smell of the skunk, the putrid skunk smell of associated with Bigfoot. Okay, right, and everyone would be going, oh, that smell, and it would fill summer, humid, hot, or whatever. It would fill up your car. If you had the windows open, it would stink out the car, and you knew it was different because we've seen skunks, dead skunks on the road, and they smelled different from the stench of the Bigfoot was giving off. Okay, We associated that one with Bigfoot. Even the whole family just knew, my brothers and sisters, we all used to, go, kid each other or whatever. And even my parents were aware of the smell, right? So after, so my dad wanted to go fishing one day, one Saturday morning in the summer, and my brother didn't want to go, so I got volunteered to go along, right? So, like I said, this time it was just my father and I. So, as we're nearing that dip in the road, I smelt that again, the stench and that. But this time there was something up ahead. It looked like a bear on the side of the road, wanting to cross. And I tell my dad, slow down, slow down. There's a bear there or something, right? It looks like a bear or something, right? Wants to cross the road. And we're slowing down. We're, about 30, we slow down to about 30, 35 miles an hour. And next thing, as we approach, we're about, 100 feet away, and we see it start, walking across. It's just a small 2-lane highway. So it didn't have much of it and there's two shoulder on each side, gravel shoulder. Okay. And we seen it walk on 2 legs across the thing, across the right across from us, perpendicular to the car, right across from on my side, passenger side, to right across to the other side on my dad's side. We both seen it, and my dad, I said Bigfoot. My dad said bear, and I said no, Bigfoot. And my dad's going, Bigfoot. It was about a 6 foot tall, 5.5, 6 foot tall juvenile, right? But it had more different features, like on the face. We're not, and it almost looked like a bear, but it wasn't. And when I looked across from my dad as he's driving, between and when it had cleared the road, it stood between the trees there again, and was looking right at us as we're driving by, and I seen it, right? Looking at us as we drove by it, right on the road. And I said, Dad, that was a Bigfoot. It's still standing on 2 legs, I said, right? My dad was sort of, amazed. And after he's like, you're programmed to deny these kind of things, And so he said, I don't know. At first he looked amazed. He got to see a Bigfoot. Like I said, Dad, you seen it with your own eyes, right? That thing walked. It didn't, walked on 2 legs. It didn't walk on, on 4 legs, right? So he didn't know. He left it up, whatever, coin toss for him. But for me, it was like, for real. So, okay. So there you go. There's so far. Okay. Can I get a break for a second? I gotta get some water here. All right.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can actually talk a little bit right now because let you get some water. But do you have Native American bloodlines or anything in you?
No. I'm of Greek descent, right? My parents were born in Greece, but I was born in Canada. But I get that compliment or mention a lot of times. I've lived out in out west in Alberta and BC, here all the time. Yeah, in the States I've been.
I was wondering because you seem like a seer,
right?
And you have all the attributes of a seer. That's why I was asking.
Yeah. Possibly. I've had a couple native girlfriends in that Ojibwe and I'm not sure what the other one was. What do you call it?
Abenaki or
Ojibwe, maybe Iroquois type bloodline. From Belleville, Ontario, across. Right on the border there. I think with Maine or New York or wherever it is. I'm not sure the Iroquois. Pardon me? Mohawk.
That's-
Mohawk. Yeah, I think it
Mohawk,
was
yeah, all up in
Mohawk.
that area. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was Mohawk. Yeah.
Would
Yeah.
you mind, and you don't have to answer this if you're uncomfortable, what is your blood type?
Mine is O positive.
Okay.
O
So
blood people are original people.
yeah, so you have an Indian bloodline.
Really?
Yeah, the O positive, O negative, those are Indians.
I'm O negative.
Right.
I mean, but we do branch out. I mean, there are other bloodlines has with mother and father, but
Right.
still,
And-
that's a definite.
Right. And my girlfriend's O negative, I think, right?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. So we have a powerful connection together when we go out in the woods and filming in that.
I'm O
Yeah.
negative too.
I'm O
He's O
positive.
positive.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. I just got tested just recently, my thing, to find out a few months back there, last year, 6-7 months ago. And I was amazed when they told me that. Yeah.
I'm surprised that everyone's not. I mean, for us, everyone has a line in there. They just have to find it because we've been here for so long together that it's almost impossible for someone to not be, an Indian with the bloodlines that have been mixed
Right.
so many times.
Right.
But
Right.
but you're you're able to see things that normal people don't see,
Right.
and that's the quality of a seer.
Yeah.
And that's why I was asking, and I think we just tracked down that in you also.
And also
Okay.
just the wisdom that you had at 7 years old to know, don't stick your hand in that portal.
Right. Right.
Wisdom
Right.
Not to go back. Just that's a lot of wisdom for that age.
Yeah.
I was like,
Thank you. Thank you. I knew something. There was something up, like something. Some people were saying you're empathic or something. I wasn't sure about that, but if you say a seer, I believe that. That kind of that sort of thing. Because a lot of strange things have happened, not just with Bigfoot, but paranormal, ghosts.
Yep.
Yeah, stuff like that. Right.
Yeah, because we can see different things and energy and so when we talk about it, it's good that we talk to other people who understand what we're talking about.
Right.
yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah. That's why I watch your show and that, because I'm looking for, a connection of who's same kind of experiences, or likewise, in that with that, it's hard. It's hard. I'll tell you, it's hard, my friends, my family, they know it has, but they don't want to talk about it.
Mhm.
It's strange, they don't even want to even admit it happens sometimes.
I
So
think most of the people that are regulars on this channel can relate to that.
right.
Right on.
Yeah.
I also have a medicine bloodline through my mother, and so we were taught, healing ways, and ceremonies, and we were raised with entities, spirits, orbs, shadows, things
Right.
moving. So when people talk to us about certain things, we don't laugh about it. We don't even our face don't even change because we're going, okay, tell us more.
My mom would always talk about that kind of stuff and was, had some psychic abilities. So she was gifted in certain ways. So I picked up some of that, but I also had my own special things I did, could see the ghosts and stuff. Hold on 1 second. What, Heather? Yeah. And so I could see the ghosts. So I remember the one time when I was 6, I seen the ghosts there at where we're staying at my godfather's place, and every morning, there was like, I'm about 6, not old enough to go to school yet, and so the other kids were in bed or still whatever in their own little group. They were smaller, and I was sort of by myself. The other kids were either older or I was sort of in the middle, too young, and I could see. I counted the people, how many people were living in. It was a big house, mini mansion or whatever, and about 4 or 5 families staying there, right? So I counted how many people, and somehow one in the mornings I would get one extra person, okay, and then after in the evening everyone's home. This one person was always missing, and then the one morning I seen him come out of the staircase closet, right? It was a newspaper and that, and I knew he was different because he was translucent a bit. I could see him, I could see through him a bit, but he looked solid. And he'd have his newspaper and he'd be going, whatever, he'd say hi to you, he'd talk to me and that. And then he says he's off to work or whatever. He'd go out that door and you'd never see him return. Every morning I see him come out of that closet. And then I told my godfather. And then he goes, what? And I described him and that. And I found out after they started freaking out. My mom was freaking out. And then he told me after the ghost that the next day, oh, you got me. I'm in big trouble. You told them I have to find a new place to stay now. Right. And he had to leave and we never seen him again. And I found out years later, it was my godfather's brother who left one morning to go to work with the paper and that and got killed by a car there, crossing the street and that. So, yeah. So that freaked them all out, the families there and all the relatives, because I seen that when I was, 6 years old. So, it's weird. Like, they knew you had some kind of gift or whatever, and at the same time, they were also afraid of you because you were different from them. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I do.
Right.
I understand
Yeah. That affected me big
that.
time, and I had different things happen, first time, same thing. I was 7. I went out, I lived somewhere in a building and the neighbor's father asked us, let's go downstairs, to the field and look for 4-leaf clovers or whatever. And I found 2 that first day, and they didn't find any. I think his son found one and the father didn't find any. And he started freaking out. So that's when I knew something was up. Okay. For sure. Okay. Yeah. That was the start of the adventures too, taking note of that,
And that's why I had to ask you that, and we had to both ask you these questions because to us, you're a seer. I mean, you can see things that other people don't, just like we can. And a lot of our trackers are that way. It's like we're all finding each other right now.
Right.
Yeah.
It's wonderful talking to you and your wife.
Oh, thanks. Because I don't meet many people like ourselves, and that, yeah, no, very rare. Yeah.
We used to tell people if they say you're crazy, have them talk to us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a badge of honor around here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you can continue, these are great experiences already. But I know
I have a few more. There's a few more to go there.
Keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
For
Keep
sure.
going.
Right. And sometimes, though, I put myself in the scene. Like I sometimes start reliving the scene again over and over, and I have to be careful. I need to push myself along so I don't.
There's no
I
time
had
limit. No time
PTSD
limit.
before, so
You talk as long as you want to.
No time limit.
okay,
No
all
time.
right, yeah, all right, that's cool. All right, then okay, so then there was okay, so next time I was okay, this is a good one here coming up, right? Is when I was now also about 19 now. I was 19 years old and it was end of summer and I was in the local woods where my parents lived. There's a little, parquet, whatever, with a creek running through it. Indigenous native people used to years ago camp down there supposedly, the history teachers were telling us. We also have further down the street, a couple blocks, about 8 blocks north. in one major intersection where is the Indian Mound there. They have there uh, called what's it called? Tabor Park, Tabor Hill, right? And I'll get a picture one day of that and show you Tabor Hill. So that was for all the native indigenous people that lived who used to live in that area, and to symbolize that. I'm not sure if they had bones or anything, or it was just symbolic, you know, a symbolic mound. I don't think there was really any bones in there or that. I'm not sure. I'll look into it. I can't remember. It's a long time ago. We were told the story in school and stuff. So next, so I'm this park was connected to several other parks. So anyway, I'm in my local park waiting for my friend who lived across the street there, right? He was eating dinner, so I'm waiting for him in our little spot there in the little local woods, surrounded by the bramble bush. We had a nice big log there to sit on, a meeting place, and have a quiet, enjoy nature, or smoke a couple cigarettes or whatever. We didn't really drink, so we didn't. Just somewhere, away from prying eyes. There was trails that people would go through, and there was also coppers and stuff, always keeping track of teenage kids and that. Make sure get the drinkers and the partiers there. So it would take a bit of effort, to weave, try and get yourself in there through all the brambles and thorn bush and crabapple trees and that kind of stuff, right? Nicely woven in there. So, and there was a big log, like I said, where we would sit down, and there was a tree stump beside it that had been sheared off. It was about 8 feet tall, max, with the top of it sheared off by a lightning strike. It was black. Okay, and sheared off in jagged pieces, right? But it looked like it had a little platform too, right? And below it, a couple feet down, there was a nesting hole, like a sort of like a raccoon type nesting hole, right? A couple feet down from the top. Okay, so I'm sitting there, right, waiting for my friend. It's I'm pretty sure it was a Sunday night, evening time, about 6 o'clock. So he's having his dinner. I'm sitting there meditating on the log quietly by myself, right? And sort of zoning out. And all of a sudden, I feel like the air, goes still, right? And then it feels like all of a sudden it gets electrified, charged up, right? Like like static, almost like static electricity. Like you could feel the energy all of a sudden build up. It went from dead calm. It went from hearing birds and noises, squirrel, all that, people, to dead silent in this little pocket, and then sort of like the atmosphere got charged up, almost like a static charge in a way, like everything amplified up. All of a sudden, I'm sitting on about 3 feet from the stump on the log, and all of a sudden, like I said, the atmosphere got charged up, and next thing you know, the stump, I hear it come inside. I hear it come to life, like sound inside the stump, right down at the base, by ground level, like somebody's going up a staircase. Boom, 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 a wooden staircase, walking up a curving wooden staircase, because I heard the sound rotating around, and it took them about 5, 6, at least 6 steps going up this staircase with boots, right? And I'm thinking, holy smokes, it sounds like a giant is inside this tree stump. It was about I don't know, 2-foot diameter, maybe. It wasn't that big, the tree stump that was sheared off. And I hear the noise that's going up, heading towards the what do you call it? The nesting hole, right? The hole, right? I said, oh my God, something's going to come out of that nesting hole, right? And what pops out was a little dwarf character this time, and again, about 15 inches tall, but this time it was more like pot-bellied, a bit like a thicker build, right? Yeah. thicker built.
I circled the word dwarf. I mean, I was ahead of you.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's right, the dwarf. And he came out. He had blue uniform, like like a woodsman type outfit, right? But it was blue jacket, pants, little cobbler boots, black cobbler boots with a heel, right? Little wooden blue cap, right? Sportsman type cap, and gray hair and gray beard, right? So he came out of the hole and he starts zipping. Okay, now he pops out of the hole and he starts zipping 3 times round, once, twice, 3 times on a 45-degree angle, right? With his boots, right? Like he looked like a squirrel, but he wasn't. He was actually on a 45-degree angle going like a squirrel does. You know how a squirrel zigzags, zips around the tree stump, right? He did the same thing, but he only had boots on, little black boots, and he was like, defying physics, but he was going really fast, at least 20, 30 miles an hour or whatever it was, 20 miles an hour, I'd say, around that tree, Okay, boom, 3 times. So he got to this wooden little platform at the top, where it was sheared off. The tree was sheared off. And he's looking out, like this, looking out over the woods like this, right? And I'm down here and I'm trying to stay still and look at him through the my peripheral vision at first. I didn't want him to scare him off because, I didn't want to look right at him at first. So I'm looking at him, my head's just slightly bent up, and I'm looking at him through my peripheral vision. And then I turn and look right at him, right as he's scouring the woods for, friends or prey or something to eat. I don't know. He's looking out over the woods, right? Like, for something, maybe another one of his kind, or food, a bird, the cat, I don't know, anything, right? Well, all of a sudden he turns and realizes somebody's watching him, right? I'm watching. Now I turn my head and looking right at him, and he looks down and he freaks out that he goes like this. He freaks out that I could see him, okay? Because I guess he probably has done this before, but people couldn't see him. You know what I mean? Some kind of illusion or something. They put up some kind of illusion, or just they can't. Other people just can't see it or something. But I looked right up at him, and he freaked out that I could see him, right? And he freaked out when he realized it was shock. All of a sudden, boom, he went back and reversed. How he went back, how he traversed up the tree stump. He reversed the course, right? Going back down, just like a squirrel. Same thing, 45-degree angle, all the way back down around 45 degrees angle. 3 times back into the nesting hole, right? And back, same thing. Boom, 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 boom. About 5, 6 times, I think it was, right? Down the spiral staircase, wooden staircase. So we got to the base, and then the power, that static type of electric charge in the air, it's like someone threw a switch, and boom, it was over. Yeah. Okay. Now that one was freaky. I made a little video about, explaining that on my channel, the dwarf encounter from 1983. So, yeah, that one was, and this guy, when I seen the other dwarfs, they were, like I said, more animated looking, right? Thin but animated almost, even though they were like they appeared physical, but they were also a bit more animated. This thing looked like a real entity, like a real physical entity, but different a bit, right? But he still looked real, solid, physical, even though I knew he was a dimensional being, right? Because you can't just come out of nowhere, right? So I knew that, and same thing. I was being fed telepathic message or two telling me what a bit of information, like, like the the dimensional being, like, like it's different. It's not physical, right? I was getting these sort of simple 1 or 2 word answers whenever something happened, of what happened, to help me along to understand. It was never like a full sentence or anything like that explaining things. It was always like just 1 or 2 words put in my head to explain a situation. When I encountered, as you're going along this path, every time you had something happen, you would get a bit of help explaining to you what you were seeing, right, from your higher power, okay, or someone who was guiding you along on this mystery tour, right? Your spiritual guides, your guardian angels, all that. I believed in the guardian angels since I was, same thing, 7 years old.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Yeah. I had a guardian angel encounter there, but I would rather tell you that one in private. That one, okay, for now. All right.
Okay.
All right.
No problem.
All right. Yeah. Okay. But next thing, yeah. So my friend then shows up after, I didn't tell him, right? And but he knew something. I was bewildered, and he was like, "Wonder what happened," right? But I never told him, what happened. I couldn't tell him, right? But then about a week later, I met him again there, and I've been to those woods hundreds of times. I only had like maybe 2 or 3 times something strange might have happened there over 30 years or something, right, in these same woods. That I might say was like, nothing like that one time with the dwarf. That was that one time. The other 2 were more minor. Something happened. I'd have to think about them, what they were again. But
well, if you do, let us know, because even the minor things.
yeah, there was like not in that one. It was like just the one night we were there. I could see a couple of the little people running around between the bushes, the leaves, and the little palms, and forest palms, whatever. Uh, I could see him skirting about in that end, and that being watched, and that. But I could sense them big time. Like same thing. The air was charged up again. The atmosphere felt charged. Right. I did not like being there at night in those woods. So a lot of times, unless I was with a few friends, myself, I always felt creeped out for some reason, like I was being watched. So in that, but like I said, I was there with a friend, and that's when I did actually see 2 or 3 of those little dudes running around, whatever, and also the heavy feeling of being watched by something else, but I didn't know what it was at that time. Well, okay. So next time we went to, let's see, to the other park. Oh, previous to that, to the other park, Morningside Park, where I found the rock stacks there. That was about 16 or 17. That was before that. It was another park where the creek runs through our local, where my parents lived. That creek that ran also through our creek continued onward, like flowing further up, down, flowing downward towards my mom's place. There was the same creek. So when I was up there, I found the rock stacks. Right, we went there, my friend and I, same guy who I was going to meet who was coming to meet me that day when I had the dwarf encounter. So just one sec. The next time was, like I said, we're at this park, Morningside Park. Heather, where's the thing? Okay, Morningside Park, and I was with my friend. It was a Saturday. Okay, it was a Saturday afternoon, about noon hour, 1:00. We would meet these 2 guys. My friend sort of knew them they went to a different high school than we did at the time, you know. So they were locals that went to that park. So we would meet up and, you know, just hang out for about an hour or two, you know, kick around, you know, just hang out on the trail. So we're walking whatever, and we find a rock again, a rock stack, you know, about three same thing, those flat stones, sandstone or flagstone, whatever it's called, and three of them, three or four of them stacked up a certain way, and they started taking them apart, and I said, hey, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't you mess with those things. I said, right? You know, there could have spirits or something attached to those or something, right? They're symbolic or for whatever reason. And I don't know, they were joking around or something. They didn't believe me in that. And so I said, I'm just going to stand over here. I said, you know, about 30 feet away from you guys in case something happens to you. Right? I said, right? And so I'm standing there and I look over and I see another rock stack, right? And strange, this time I also see an interdimensional Bigfoot standing off to the side, right? Near the rock stack. But and I don't think I communicated or anything with him or whatever, or I think he actually, I think I did communicate, and he said, please don't mess with those rock stacks or something, right? And that I don't think he told me this time to be afraid or anything. I don't remember that part. I just remember him saying don't wreck the rock stacks, right? And there was another one further off, right? And there was another little dwarf type character near that rock stack, but he was like, you know, about 75 feet away when I seen where the third rock stack was. And there was one, but this one was a bit bigger, this little dwarf. He was about 2 feet tall, roughly about 2 feet tall, right? It would be about 24 inches, right? 2 feet tall. And there was a bigger rock stack, and he was standing beside the rock stack, but he was interdimensional too. They were both interdimensional in that, but it's further away. But I could see them in that. And I told, you know, I just said to them, oh yeah, I'll make sure they don't wreck it. I said just okay, I will, you know, I will stop them. I said from wrecking it or whatever. And that's when I went back and I told them, you know, whatever, something, and okay, they tried putting it back to something. I said it could. I forget what if it was said it could be bad luck or something. And they started getting scared. Something about like that. I made up a story, and I said whatever. They tried putting it as close as they could back together again, and that my friends laughing, you know, but these other guys they were actually believed it for some reason. So whatever. So they got me to do that, stop them from wrecking that thing. So, but there were three of them, sort of like, you know, in a triangular pattern, I guess, right? The rock stacks. When you check it out, they were in a triangular pattern. 1, 2, 3. They weren't in a straight line or anything like that. It was it looked like when you match the points, drew a line from one point to the other. It was triangular. Okay, if that helps. All right. That's the one. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. What can we use next? Next, we'll go with. Hold on. All right. Next time we go fishing. My friends and that, we used to go fishing, and it would take about 4 hours of driving on the highway, right? In eastern Ontario. Well, 4 hours. It was a long drive. You know, they used to, you know, drink beer and that, whatever. So they always wanted to stop to use facilities or something, which was a hassle at 3 or 4 or 5 in the morning, driving on the highway. You didn't want to get stopped by the cops and that, you know. I wasn't drinking myself. I didn't drink and drive, so I was usually the the designated driver on some of these fishing adventures. So, all right. And then, so we finally get there to this private lake or something like that early, 5:30, 6 in the morning. We're getting ready to go fishing, go get the boat. The boats were already there. We had to wait for the cottage owner who rented the owner who rented cottages on the other lake to go get the motorized the motor and that and come back and hook it up to the boat and that, right? And there was 4 of us, so I was planning to stay with my friend while the other 2 guys were gonna go fishing, right? And I got a message from the Sasquatch telling me, no, you need to go fishing, right? Oh, hold on. You need to go fishing. I missed the story. Oh, you need to go fishing, right? And leave my friend there, at the car. All of us together for some reason, right? Because, like they wanted me to go and leave my girlfriend behind at the car by herself. Well, us 3 guys went fishing, okay? They didn't want me staying behind with my girlfriend because they said they had family there and they didn't want any hanky-panky kind of stuff going on, in that because they had young kids and that there, the clan, Bigfoot clan, troop, whatever, right? And they told me, mind speak. They used their telepathy, mind speak, and told me, no, you need to go fishing with your friends. And I said, well, I'm worried. Said no harm will come to her if you do whatever. I'm told, right? So next thing, we're out fishing, and that's when, as we're going, heading down to the other end of the lake, I could hear voices on a little island, right? And I could see 2 or 3 Bigfoot there on the island, and they're talking. And I hear and I'm wondering why the other 2 guys in the boat can't hear the voices, right? Now this took me a long time. It took me about 10 years to try and figure all this out. This part here about hearing the voices, right? And that they weren't talking to me, but I could hear them talking, right? From this island. About as we approached, it was about 300 feet away. As we got closer, I could, right as soon as we got in the boat, right, and started heading towards the island, I could hear the voices, and they were getting louder and louder as we neared the island, and they would be standing between the trees. I could see them, but my 2 friends, they couldn't see nothing. They couldn't see anything on that island. Other me, I could see them traversing between the trees. They're standing there between the in the shade of the trees, right? A couple of the Bigfoot, about 7-8 feet tall. And I'm like wondering why and like when we approached, like within, 30 feet of the island, I could see them there in the shadows, right? In the tree shade. And I'm wondering why my friends can't see them, right? Like this is the first time, where, they're physically, there, but the other 2 guys can't see them. Okay. That's I'm aware of that situation, like major situation for the first time, that others can't see them. All right. All right. Even when the opportunity was presented there, they couldn't see them. So, or hear them, right? Or hear their voice. They never mentioned a word. I said, do you hear somebody talking in that? I mentioned that once or twice. And they said, no, they don't hear anyone. Okay. And so what happened after that was we're fishing away, and then off to our off to our off to my left, about 6 feet in the air, a little portal or something, a pocket portal opens up about 2 feet wide, but about 4 feet, and these tiny, about 50 tiny little pebbles, river pebbles, lake pebbles, tiny little pebbles get tossed out, right? and hit the guy who's sitting in the front. I'm sitting in the middle, and his cousin was sitting in the back. His younger cousin was sitting at the back trying to, and that he goes, stop, whatever. I said, my hand, I'm over on this side, I'm fishing. I said, I got a pole in my hand, right? Fishing pole and that. And my friends are, no, whatever. We didn't do anything, right? Trying and that. So it happens again. He tries fishing. Same thing. I physically, and his cousin physically watch that portal open up, and again, 50, 100 tiny little pebbles get thrown out and hit him in the back. You know, a couple bounced off us, right? But, you know, no damage. But, you know, about 30, 40 of them hit him right in the back. And he said, hey, stop that, you guys. And I said, we both said we didn't do it, right? We didn't do it. The portal, you know, just opened up like 6 feet off, about 3 feet out and about 6 feet up in the air. A window opened up, a small, you know, 2 feet by 4 foot window. And it happened 3 times, the pebbles. It was like a warning for me to stay away from that guy in the front of the boat, right? Where there was something, you know, it was some kind of warning. Like, you know, I didn't see who did it, you know, I just seen, you know, the window open up, like both of us, me and his younger cousin, Kenny there, we seen it open, and where he was laughing because, you know, it was hitting his older his cousin there, you know, in that. So I couldn't explain that one, you know, but we both seen that, right? The portal open up and the tiny little pebbles come, you know, raining out and hitting the guy in the back, in the back, his back of his head, back, his back, shoulders, his back. And that happened 3 times. These tiny little pebbles, in, you know. That was the same time when we were fishing. No, that was a different time. Where I had seen a giant muskie take down a Canada goose, and it was like in slow motion. Canada goose came down slowly, hit the lily pads there. Boom! I heard the water wolf. You know how they say, you know, those giant muskies or pike make that the cry of like a they call it the water wolf. They make a certain kind of gurgling or cry or whatever. I heard that as it took this giant, you know, huge Canada goose down. Boom! Hit it and never seen that Canada. I watched for 20 minutes. That Canada goose never surfaced. Right? It had to be about a 5-foot muskie. Took it down there. So that was a different time though. But so anyways, hold on a sec. So anyways, excuse me. So anyways, this island, we had gone back, right? And I left them, the people there, you know, we were went back to meet my my girlfriend there on the we had parked the car, and I said, I want to take the boat out, right, by myself. I'll be back in about 10-15 minutes, right? So I went back over to that little island. There was a cottage on the island. I forgot to mention. There was a cottage, right, a 2-level cottage, and there was and to the right, so when you came up this way, to the left were the trees, the big pine trees, and where the Bigfoot were hiding amongst the shade. But this was during the midweek. So in the summer, where I guess these cottage owners only came up on the weekend or something. Okay, right? This was midweek, early morning. You know, there was nobody in the cottage, and we've been to the private lake there a couple times, and only once or twice did we ever see somebody. It was usually on a weekend, right? Or if they had probably summer holidays, right? Would spend a week there or something. But weekdays, there was no activity there in the house. So it was safe for them, I guess, to stand between those trees when the owners weren't home, right? Cottage owners weren't home. But so I borrowed the boat and left the other, you know, the other 3 people there at the car, and I wanted to go back and investigate why I was hearing the voices and seeing the Bigfoot there on the island, right? So I'm buzzing around, and I said again, as I got closer to the island, I could hear the voices of them talking, right? So I had gone around, but every time I went around, I would drive around the island in the boat. They would disappear. I wouldn't see them when I came around a certain way. When I came around, when I would make a full circle, they weren't there. As I approached, I could see them, but every time I got right by the island and turned, came in front, I could never see them. They would vanish, right? So I said, okay. So I had parked off to the point there, where the car on the island, and was fishing and just sitting there for a few minutes, and I heard a woodpecker, right there hitting the tree, right? I could see the woodpecker, right, hitting, knocking, whatever, right? But at the same time, I could hear another woodpecker making a different kind of noise, right? I said, why does that woodpecker sound different from this woodpecker, right? And so as soon as I made that discovery, I got a telepathic message telling me, something, give me some information, that I'm right, it's like, as a verification that I got that right, like a test. Hold on, please stop. I got a test. So what happened next was, so I went back to the, I didn't go back. I went back to the thing, and I said, I'll be back in 2 minutes, right? I took one last ride. I was determined to find out why I was seeing the Bigfoot there and hearing the voices, right, on that island. So I said, I'll be back. I told the people I'll be back with the boat in about 2-3 minutes. I'm just going to go one last boot around the island and back, right? And this time I went up. I went up, and I put it in the full speed, going around. And this time I went right up onto the shore, right, and got it and ran and dove out the front, almost broke my neck, and landed on the island, right. I ran the boat right up onto the shore. As I got up and started running and dove out off the front there, the bow there, onto the ground, and looked over to see, past the bushes to see if I could see the Bigfoot. Never mind if they were there. Right? I did some kind of, brave act, I thought, right? I wanted to find out why I was seeing them and why I was hearing them, right? And almost broke my neck in the prod, but I was flabbergasted, dumbfounded when they were not there, right? Past the bushes. I said, I just seen them there. And where did they go? I'm looking at, no, they're gone again. And then, I was all disappointed. I'm all banged up. I got scratches on me. I ripped my pants, everything, just to try and get a peek at them, right? So I go back, and my girlfriend says, hey, oh, whoa, I got news, something, blah, 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 blah. I said, I know. She says, oh, you know too? I said, yeah, I know, right? I said, shh, don't tell the other people, right? And she was like surprised that I knew. And all of a sudden, we go back. She says, I want you to take me for a boat ride. And I said, okay. And I said, which way? And she points, the direction. She's pointing. And so right there off the point, about, 100, about 50 yards where the car was, there was a Bigfoot, about 6.5 foot young adult Bigfoot, standing there on the point, standing like, I thought it was a bear at first. I looked back 6 times, 7 times. I kept turning my head back. It still stood there. It had more like a tan colored face and brown colored fur, right? Sort of like not chocolate brown, but like tan, more like a golden brown. And I'm like, is that a bear or is that, in that? But it was standing there. It wasn't wavering or anything. It was just standing there straight, just beside the pine tree there, the cedar there tree off the point, and it just stood there. I got the side glance, and I looked at it for about a minute and a half. I kept looking back, a good minute and a half. I kept looking back and forth. Every time I looked, it was still there. It had not left. And then my friend after said, "Did you see it?" I said, "Yeah, I seen it." Right? Yeah. I said, don't say anything. Right? We didn't talk too much about it. Maybe once or twice after when we got home, right, for about a short period of time. But yeah, I wish I had talked more about it and that. But yeah, but they had told me that that if we had stayed there and I had messed around with my friend there, had some hanky panky, that there was going to be a big trouble. People were going to get hurt in that because they had family there and they did not want me doing that. Okay, they warned me outright. And now this is first time telling this on any channel, any group, first time ever. I've never ever told this part. Okay, so
Well, we're honored.
all right, thank you. All right, I've never ever. Only my girlfriend knows about this, and maybe one other person, if they even remember hearing about it. But my girlfriend knows the whole story in that. But it was an ex-girlfriend years ago, so I don't want to. There's some jealousy parts here and there. They don't want to hear about, So I don't want to talk too much about this, but we could talk about it more in private sometime in that. But they gave me an outright warning. That's why I had to go with my friends fishing, and I wasn't allowed to stay there. That was through Mindspeak, right? And I agree. And they warned. They said no harm will come as long as I do, what I'm supposed to do, right? And then she was gifted the encounter and brought me with her to show me. Okay, and there you go. There's
While
one.
you were gone, she was gifted.
She's seen him and told me. I guess that she got the Mindspeak message too, something, and she pointed in the direction we were supposed to go, and there it was waiting for us on the point, and it took us about 3 minutes to get around a different island, as we're going around the channel, and I kept looking back. I had about a good minute and a half view at it, on and off about 6-7 times. I turned my head and look back to make sure I'm really seeing this, And at first, every time I looked back, it was still standing there on the point. At first, I said, "That's no bear." I kept saying to myself, and the person, she was sitting straight. She's usually always talking or doing this and that, and she was all gleaming from ear to ear that she's seeing this and got us to see this and that, right? And that somehow she was native, so part native. And so she had psychic abilities too, and that. Yes, Heather, we know. Hold on, sorry. Okay, we know. All right.
To me, it seems like they wanted her to be isolated so that they could make a connection with her also.
Yeah. They made a connection with her first before they made a connection with me, for whatever reason. Okay, I'm sorry. There's some. I didn't really want to tell this story right now, but I've told it, so we'll move on. Okay.
And well, I was just gonna say, a lot of times, the juveniles are uncontrollable if they get around that.
Right.
Something could have happened because they're like,
Pheromones.
we can't control.
Yeah, right. Because they said, they had young family there and that, and they were warning us, not to do anything like that. Okay. Remember, it was hot. It was summertime. We're young,
Yeah.
and that, but there was different plans, I guess, for us.
And those woodpeckers, they were one's a woodpecker, but the other one is a Bigfoot. But the woodpecker's saying there's somebody here, there's people here, and the other one's going, okay. Because if there was to turn out to something happening to where there's an altercation or something, that woodpecker or whatever bird there is, they still get to eat also. So they pretty much tell off on everybody. Blue jays, robins, crows, ravens.
Right. Okay. Okay, 1 minute. I have to take a drink here. Okay. Can you give me 2 minutes? I got to use the washroom for 2 minutes.
Sure. Anybody else
Yep.
that needs to, it's a good time to. Y'all
Yeah.
take a
I'll be
break
right.
real
Okay.
quick.
I'll be right back. Okay.
We got lots more.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Everybody take a break. You're
All right.
doing a wonderful job.
All right. Thank you.
So we can run through some comments real fast. We
Okay.
can back this up and let our guests take a quick break, and Scarborough will be back in just a moment.
Can see CT's fingers have been flying.
Let's just try to get up to
Hello, Christian.
CT Christian.
Life's Adventures. Hello. Just got home from work.
All right.
CT, thank you as always. Life's Adventures is in good company because he's crazy too.
Yeah.
Says he just talked to his boss and he's on for this weekend. Well, we wish you to be very safe and keep us updated.
Yes, we will be watching. We will be watching.
SMA Mommy says, evening all, blessings and safety to you all. So happy I made the live. We are too. Love every upload and live, no matter when I watch. It is fantastic and important information. Thank you, J&E. Thank you.
And Scarborough is up in your area, so
Harper's here. Hey, Harper. Oseo.
hey, Harper.
SMA Mommy says, wow, good job, Jerry. True real trackers. I think she's talking about when you wrote down and circled it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we knew it was one of these or yeah. We said
Or
it,
what some people would probably call gnomes.
and they have those stairs that goes, and some of them even go up inside the tree, not just around, but and even around that tree they have their own path, and also inside.
Edward Kung Fu Mashburn says, God bless you and your families. Praying for all of you. God bless you too, Edward.
Thank you, Edward.
SMA Mommy says, amazing encounter, Scarborough. Thank you for sharing all of this. I feel like I'm with others that can understand the strangeness I've been surrounded by my whole life. Thank you for sharing. We agree and we feel the same.
And you're amongst friends, and we all understand, and we've either been through it or seen it, or we know exactly what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm. SMA says, listening, have to keep doing things here as I listen. My two kids are also listening as they know about these things. I've made sure to tell them the truth so they know how to stay safe. Good. Very good. The people that tell their kids there are no monsters or, just deny everything are setting them up to be freaked out when they do see them.
Yeah.
It's a fine line just for a parent to navigate between keeping them aware but not freaking them out. SMA says, I'm from Scarboro area where I was born, Ontario, Canada as well. North York General was across the street and tracks from where I grew up in North York, still not far from the area. Property up north too. Cool, y'all aren't very far.
Y'all are in the same area.
Look at that.
Check that later. All right. Wow. All right.
Tennessee's here, and I think it said Virginia, and we'll catch up on the rest. Scarborough's back, I believe.
Right. Yeah, that's good. You can do a couple more comments if you want. Give me a minute here.
Let you rest for just a minute.
Yeah. Sure. Let me collect my thoughts here for a minute. All right.
Okay. Tracker C's with us. Great show, Jerry and Tracker E. Scott's waving. Hey, Scott. More greetings. Yeah, we did miss you this morning, Tracker C. And we prayed for you also.
Victoria Rivera.
Victoria Riera. Glad you're here, Victoria.
New to the channel.
Hola. Carla Castro, saludos. Sally's here. Hey,
Hey, Sally
Sally.
Witt. All right.
All right.
Witty. She's witty. Remember,
She's
that's how you
very
say her
witty.
last name because she is very witty. Scott says, hello, Victoria. Let's see. Thank you, Escobaro. And CT says, thank you, Scarborough. Okay,
All
we're all
right.
caught
All
up.
right. Thank
Scarborough.
you, thank you, friends. Thank you.
Everybody's saying hello to you, but they're listening.
Yeah,
Everybody's listening.
cool. That's cool. Yeah, right on. It's hard
And I like
sometimes,
the
you
way-
know. I know it's you know, it's sometimes, you know, it's you know, how do you it's you have to have a certain confidence level to talk about this kind of stuff, you know. And it's really, I find, you know, sometimes it flows easily and sometimes it doesn't, you know. I also find, like, you know, I put myself in the scene sometimes to get the info. You know, I'm not using any paper. It's all from memory right now. So
You're doing fantastic.
I like it to where it feels like we're just sitting around a campfire, just sitting around talking, friends. You know, you're just telling us, you know, what's going on. And also it's kind of like you're telling us what to expect if we was to go in those areas, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you will not ever get bullied or judged here. They'll be booted so quick.
Oh,
and
Yeah, I'm
blocked.
not. You're all right. That's good. That's good. I'm not worried. I have a same with my Facebook group. It's open that you can talk about this kind of stuff. You know, you're
yeah.
protected. And, you know.
Good.
But, you know, at the same time, we don't want to feel like, you know, we're like sideshow. You know,
No, not
we're
at all.
not. You know, like, but I know in some of the groups or, you know, chats, it's like you know, they put you to the far extreme on one side. You know, whether they believe you or not, it doesn't matter. It's the other, you know, I like to be in the middle. You know, with everyone else. You know what I mean? Just because if we experience certain things, you know, we want to find out why. You know, in that, you know, and it has to be a reason why too. You know.
Yeah. And you're helping people with your stories. You're helping them process things that they've seen and probably bringing some things to mind that they've seen also.
Right.
Where you left off was you were 50 feet from the car. Or a juvenile was standing there with a tan face and brown fur.
Right. Yeah.
But I also want to just say real fast that also in this room, even in the chats, we have people making sure that only the topic is talked about. We don't have people having other conversations about, you know,
Yeah.
other
Okay.
things.
Thank you. Yeah. There's, like I said, there's not many groups or channels like yours and like mine that can deal with these kind of matters, you know. And
We're ahead of the curve.
Yeah. And I did. I thank Parkway a lot because he helped me. You know, we've talked a few times and helped me through with some of these encounters. You know, I didn't have anyone to talk about it, and he understood. He listened and helped me big time. You know, trying to, you know, figure some of this stuff out.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to be getting soon to a really good one soon. All right.
These are all good.
I started building up to it.
Okay,
Yeah.
get to the good
Yeah,
ones.
well, what's the good one?
Yeah. I'm getting to a good one here. Okay. All right. Hold on. Okay. When I was about 20 years ago, I had just 20 couple around the turn of the millennium there, 2000. I traveled from Ontario to out to BC, British Columbia, and also Alberta. For the next 2-3 years, I traveled about a dozen times there and a dozen times back. I worked there a couple times during that time period for a little bit, you know, on and off, different jobs, odd jobs sometimes. I did work for a place for a couple months and then left, came back to Ontario. But I remember when just before before 911 happened there in late August there, I had 2 encounters there with the Sasquatch there. One was a reddish brown one, right? and the other one was a female with a young juvenile, black female, black colored female, right, and with a young juvenile. And that was about 2 days after I seen the male, the angry male Sasquatch I'm going to talk about here in 1 minute. All right. Okay. Yeah. So I met a friend out there. He was native, but he was he didn't know any of the traditional ways. He was like grew up in the city and I guess the residential schools and all that. He didn't know any of the customs or traditions, right? He was like a city, more like a city person, even though he was indigenous native there in Alberta there. So his name was Rich, and he was a good guy. He had, some issues, but, he took me along when he went fishing and camping and that, because I was riding a mountain bike, backpacking, trying to get, I was out there to improve my health there. I had some fibromyalgia issues and also allergy issues. I had to go out there, because the weather was dry and hot and dry, whereas here polluted and hazy and humid. I couldn't breathe, so that was an issue. I'd go out there and exercise and try and get make myself better for a couple for the between April, May there and September and come back, right? And I have spent winters there too, and it was cold. It was cold, but anyway, so we would go fishing. We would ride, follow the bike trails, right, to this place there, heading towards Banff, like outside Calgary. About a good, we'd ride about 2 hours. It took us about 2 hours riding hard, constantly to get to our spot. An hour and a half, 2 hours of not of riding. So, and he would go fishing for rainbow trout or whatever in the Bow River, right? Okay, the Bow River, and there was a spot there where you could overnight camping, like one night only overnight camping. All right, so overnight camping, and we'd pitch a tent and spend the night, have a fire. So the one time we went, right, and they also had, there was a patch beside the campsite, right? The river was right there. There was a bridge, and there was a parking lot on the other side where you could park there. And they had a parkland there. The parks there and recreation had built a football field like that. You could also play football, right, in this field beside this recreational area. There was a picnic area across the river where you could park, and there was multiple benches and that. But there was only one overnight campsite, and there was a football field for so people could show up and play a game of football or whatever. Sometimes maybe the pro teams practice there and stuff. Okay, so anyways, we were camping there for the night, and he was fish. So beside the campsite was the Saskatoon berry trees, right? In season. Okay, there were the purple berries. You eat them, the juice has stained your hand, you stained your tongue. You're guilty, if you eat them, right? People know. And they were all along the bike path, right? The Parks and Rec had planted trees all along the riverway, the bike path riverway. You could stop, and but where we were the most juiciest, ripest, very ripe berries there. Big, beautiful bunches, right? And the other ones closer to the city weren't quite ripe yet. As you got closer towards the campsite, they were more and more ripe. But this was a prime patch, right? A small little patch here, about let's see, 10 by let's see, 20 feet, 30 feet, 30 by 10, 10 20 feet wide by 30 feet long little patch of trees. They're the Saskatoon berries, right? And about, you know, the trees are about 30 feet, 30, maybe 40, 30 to 40 feet tops, 30 feet tall, the trees, you know. They were good trees. And they looked like they'd been there for ages, okay? And on one of the trees, there was a marking, you know, like, so about 8 feet up, it was either 8 or 12 feet, I can't, there was a 2-foot section of the bark had been stripped, right? And there was a marking of half a heart, like, you know, the top part was sort of missing, so it came around to the bottom, so it made like half a heart, and there was 2 lines on one side and 2 lines, I think, on the other side. It was like some kind of symbol, territory symbol or marker. I recognize, like, same thing. I said that's some kind of and I got a telepathic message again saying yes, territory marker, something like that. You know, you're right. You know, okay. And I told my friend, look, that's a territory marker. I'm telling him, right? And that he's looking at it all strange, like he wouldn't he didn't recognize it. It didn't mean anything to him, okay? And that, but to me, it meant something. Like this, somebody had marked this patch, right? I knew that right away by the symbol, right? I said, this isn't like, you know, Jack and Jill, you know, people, you know, scribbling on there. This looks like a real territory marker by someone. So later on, we were having a campfire, right? But it was like an older tree. Like it looked like almost like, you know, half rotting. It's starting to rot, or so. It was an older tree. And I said, oh, be careful you don't break this. I said, don't break this part of the tree off with the marker, right? And I told my friend. So later on, we got, you know, we're running along fire. I said, it's your turn to go get the fire. So he goes and gets the fire, and he broke. I heard him snapping some. I said, what are you doing? He brought back the firewood. He broke the territory marker, right? Which was about 4 or 5, you know, that section there. He threw it into the fire, right? I said, what are you doing? Why'd you break that? Oh, it's nothing, man. It's nothing, you know? I said, no, is that something? Somebody wrote that, man. I don't know who. I said, I'm not from these parts, right? So I'm not sure, you know, who, what, where, when, what the traditions are here, you know? And so what happened was, you know, later on, you know, and that he threw what I had said, you know, he threw that in the fire and whatever. And I said, we shouldn't have done that, right? We're going to, you know, there could be trouble over that, I said, for some reason, because I had received a telepathic message over that it was a territory marker, right? After I can, you know, that's what I said. It got confirmed what I said. So by some higher power, my spiritual power, guardian angel, someone verified it for me. Okay. And so the next day we're going to leave. All right. Like I said, I was in, and it felt strange that after he did that later on, I felt like we were being watched all of a sudden. You know, after he threw the piece of wood into the fire, about 20 minutes, half hour later, it felt like we're being watched. But I didn't see who, what, or, you know, or any eye shine that night. Okay. But the next morning, it's a beautiful day, nice and hot, sunny, and we're waiting across the field, right? As we used to ride up the bike paths, right, to come to the campsite, and then cross a field with like it looked like prairie grass, the yellow golden colored grass, and it was a drought season, okay, and there was also cougar and bear warnings of being seen close to the outskirts of the city where we were camping, and there was some kind of provincial park close over the other side of the ridge where we were, some kind of or private campground or whatever. I have to look on the map. I'm not sure, but I never went up on the ridge and looked over. And I just seen in the map recently when I was checking the site that it was some kind of parking campground, commercial campground or something. Somebody was running. I think private owners, not actually provincial campground. Okay, so the next day I'm in the field. I get my bike, my mountain bike, my gear, and that I get on the bike, and it feels like I'm sluggish for some reason. And I get to the clearing to cross, and it's all yellow grass because of the drought, right? And that, and we got to get over to the bike path. There's a field about at least 200 feet we got to cross there to get to the to the to the bike path and ride home for the next hour and a half. Hard ride to get back, right? Steady ride on our mountain bikes. So I go to put my foot up on the pedal and to go forward, and it feels like I can't move. I'm being dragged, like stopped from going forward. I'm desperately trying to push my bike forward, and my right leg won't go. I'm having a real hard time trying to push the pedal up to the top and to get my foot going. I barely get it down, right? Like I struggled super hard to get my foot to push that pedal slowly down, but I didn't move very far. Didn't move at all. And then my left foot came up to go. It wouldn't go. I couldn't even get my left foot up to the pedal. It felt like somebody was holding me back, pushing me back like a brick wall, right? I couldn't go forward. My left foot, I can't get it going. It won't go forward. For some reason, I cannot push that bike an inch or two forward. It's like someone is literally like like I said, a cement wall, brick wall, holding me back. Okay. My friend comes up and, after he finished packing up the gear, the tent, all that, he's going, Tom, what's wrong? What's wrong? Why won't you go? Why didn't you cross the field? Right. I said, I can't go. He goes, what do you mean you can't go? My foot won't go. I said, try and move it. So he comes actually, kickstand down, his bike gets off, comes over, and he's actually trying to drag my foot forward, and he can't budge it, right? He cannot move my left leg there to go forward. Can't push me. He tried pushing me from behind. He couldn't push me forward, right? And he says, you're holding the brake. I said, look, my hands are right here. There's no brake on. You know that. You look at yourself. Look down. The brake caliper's not on, right? He can't figure it out. He goes, holy smokes. He goes, he looks down and he sees these huge goosebumps, size of a dime's whatever on my arm and neck, right? And he goes, look at the goosebumps on your arms, right? They were on both my arms, not just the left, but the right too, right? And all over my neck. And he's going, look, holy smokes, I've never seen such big goosebumps, he says. I said, that's nothing. They're the same size on your arms. And he never even noticed. And he goes, holy smokes. He starts freaking out because he's got the same size goosebumps, right? I seen his on his left arm, right? Mine were on both arms, right? But the left arm was like twice as big, the goosebumps, as the right side arm, right? So we can't go. He couldn't figure out. He's baffled. I said, listen, I don't know. There's something in that field, I tell him, right? Either something in the field waiting, right? Or, there's something in the ambush. I'm thinking cougar, right? I even put a leather neck guard around my neck for protection, right? And, I think they're going to grab you. Like I read the reports, whatever. And so I made a leather contraption there to protect my neck, and I had a helmet, whatever. And I put on my jacket too, just in case, right? So I couldn't go, right? So I said, I'm not crossing the field. I'm taking the long way, right? The long way was, across the bridge, past the parking lot, picnic area, to the highway was, visible where we were standing about, 100 yards away. And then that took 2 hours instead of an hour and a half the other way. The shortcut, we couldn't take the shortcut. I said, I'm taking the long way. And it was all downhill anyways, right? So it didn't matter. I wanted to be safe. I'm going with my intuition. I said, my intuition says, do not cross this field at any cost, right? I'm not taking that chance. I said, you go ahead, right? You're not being stopped. You go ahead. He says, you know what? He was going to. As I turned, I pushed myself backwards. I was able to slowly at first, push myself backwards, right? And then the grip let go. And as I turned my wheel to go back the other way, it slowly let up on me and then freed me. Something freed me. Whatever was holding me back, grasping me, or stopping me, finally let go. As when it made sure I had gone at least 10 feet in the opposite direction back the other way, heading towards the bridge and crossing over the river and taking along. Otherwise, it was still dragging me down. It wasn't letting me go until I made sure I let go and made sure I went the other way, the long way. I did not try to trick it or anything and try and bolt across the field or anything. Right. So, yeah, I wasn't taking that chance. Right. But my friend said he was going to go whatever. I said, fine, I'll meet. And then all of a sudden he goes, all right, I changed my mind. He got up to me. So, yeah, he did. He changed his mind and followed me back home the long way. All right. Okay, give me a second here.
We was gonna mention that there's been a Bigfoot with you for a while. They pick certain people, but it's not a good thing. But they will protect you and guide you, and like if it didn't want you going that way because there's other ones there that are hungry, it will hold you or guide you in another way. But our body will tell us the feelings, the goose pimples, and we talk about the hair on the back of your neck stands up.
Yeah.
That means it's behind you. If your goose pimples are on your right side or your left side, that's where the predators are. But on your left side, that's also called your west side or your blind side or your death side. So that one that was on your left side, that one was hunting either you or your friend. But also guardian angels are in there also. And so we got to figure out who was holding you.
Yeah. I thought it was my guardian angel or something,
Yeah. And that's a divine intervention too of things like that happen.
Right.
But
I really thought it was my guardian angel that time was holding me back. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. For trying to protect me because I felt like I was surrounded. Right.
You were.
Yeah. I felt like left, forward, and to my side. Right. Behind me was the river and the highway. There was nothing behind us. Okay. So it was either, like I said, right, center, and left. Okay. And there was the lower down was another clump of trees there. The smaller clump of trees of the Saskatoon berries. Right. Up here was the big clump. Right. And it could have been still hiding in there. And across the field, it looked like it could hide anywhere, like I said, I thought it was a mountain lion laying in wait for us or something. And that's what I assumed at the time, that my guardian angel was protecting me from a mountain lion attack, right? Because, it was like tall prairie grass, golden color because of the drought, right? Everything green had turned yellow. So, yellowish tan colored mountain lion could easily lay in wait and pounce, and there was already warnings in that, right? And
even the berry trees, those are ambush spots. The water areas, those are ambush spots. That high grass is an ambush spot. And some of those Bigfoots, not even just a cougar, but Bigfoots are still that same color too.
Right.
They'll lay in that grass right by that road when you won't even see them but you can feel them. Your body felt them too.
Right. I'm telling you, I literally, I tried so hard, man. All my energy, all my force to break that, to go forward, and I couldn't move 1 inch. Right. I managed to slide forward 1 inch, and it's like some boom hit me and stopped me dead in my tracks. I couldn't slide the next inch. Wouldn't let me. I tried my heart, and I think, And then when my friend came up, goes, why haven't you moved forward? Why haven't you got? I said, I can't, you know. And I'm telling you, it felt like a divine intervention, like you say. Something was literally, you know, hand of God holding you back, you know. That's what it felt like to me at that time.
I could just see your guardian angel going, God, come on, the other way. Oh, the other
Yeah.
way.
You know, this is that, yeah, because like I said, you
And
know,
then your friend felt the same thing, and he knew it's better to go with you.
yeah, it's only when he seen the goose pimples on his arm, on his left side, did he change his mind and say and decided to follow me. Okay,
Yeah.
right, but
You're a good man to follow.
yeah, thank you, right. But he was trying to edge me forward to cross that field first.
And that's because a lot of people don't know and haven't seen what you've seen and haven't attuned their feelings like that. But having those goose pimples, he knew something was up.
Oh yeah, for sure, right. He knew something there. Yeah.
I wonder if you asked him if he regretted breaking that limb off by that time.
I told him, I said, maybe it's me. I did mention that, and he thought about it, and I said, I don't know, maybe it's because I said, right, and I'm going, and then, you know, he waited about 2 minutes, and then says, wait up, he you know, he caught up to me on the bridge there, yeah. I said, what? I thought you were brave, we're going to go. Yeah, he thought about it for sure, right? Yeah. So he didn't want to mess with that. So, right. So, but then, all right, hold on. So there's more to that, right?
Good.
Okay. Yeah, there's more to that story. Okay. So 2 days later, we're going back to the same spot, right? Riding up there, right? Again, right? To meet, you know, the same camping spot, same fishing hole to go fishing, right? And overnight camping. Right. So this time, what happened was, as we got, hold on, I got to turn on the light here. Heather, where's the lighter? So this time, as we, Heather? Yeah, this time, so after that episode that happened, right? So I did remember later when we made it home safe, he told me, what was it? He said something that, like, he said he apologized for breaking I think he apologized for breaking the tree limb there or whatever. The tree limb, right? So, and, you know, he says,
apologize to you.
Mentioned something. Yeah, he mentioned something about what happened. That I said, I don't know. I said that was strange, but I said, I told you you shouldn't have broke that. I warned you not to mess with that, right? I said, so he was a little spooked about that, you know, freaked out a bit, wondering, you know, but he apologized for, you know, doing that and getting us, you know, in some kind of danger. He recognized that there was a danger, and that whether it was physical or dimensional or spiritual or whatever, he acknowledged that there was something going on. So, okay. So, so 2 days later, we're on the same bike path coming, and now we got to cross we're getting close to the point where we got to cross the field that we couldn't cross in 2 days earlier, right? So there was a junction there. There was a train. There was a train. Hold on. There was a train where the train crosses over the path, the bicycle path, right? They had put a fence in, one of those fences, like you had to physically dismount your bicycle to go and weave through this safety barrier fence, right? So you couldn't ride over the tracks and get hit by the train. Do you know what I mean? You physically had to dismount and walk your bike through. So we did that. when we reached that point, and it was only another, like I said, 100 yards to the site, the most, right? Where we had to go out and then go across the field to that little mini campsite, and where he would go fishing by the bridge there, for the trout. So what happened was, so we stopped there, had a drink of water or whatever, and that, he says, okay. He says, Tom, I'm going to let you go first, he says. He never let me go first, right?
Let you.
Right? He never let me go first. Yeah, I mean, whenever I passed him on the path and that, he would, trying to, and then zoom past me, very competitive like that, right? Yeah. So I said, oh, I felt honored, I told him. Yeah. Right. So I said, great, man, great. Right. I'm thinking, great, yeah. What am I in store here for now? I'm in, what's going to happen? I'm like, okay, I pray there's nothing up there. Right.
Good.
Okay. So as we're, slowly pedaling, we're not racing each other because he's given me the honor of, leading to the site, right? So we're going slower, just casually, moseying along. So all of a sudden, I'm about 30 feet ahead of him, right? At least 30 feet ahead of him, right?
There wasn't that much distance when he was leaving with you.
No, he wasn't. Right? Yeah, I'm about 30 feet ahead of him, right? And all of a sudden, there's a ridge beside us, about a 40-foot. It's about a 40-foot ridge running parallel with us, with the bike path, right? All the way down, right? With different sized trees and cedars on top and that, right? Some big, some small, whatever. And I didn't know what was on the other side. I never went up there to have a look or look at the map or anything. I just, always followed him, whatever, where he took me. Because he didn't want other people to know where we're going camping. He didn't want anyone popping in, trying to rob us or steal our equipment or, that kind of stuff. He wanted private to spend time alone and go fishing, and didn't want to be bothered, by other people and stuff in that. So we kept it quiet in that. So, but anyway, so as I'm up, like I said, I'm riding slowly ahead, and then the ridge line was beside me. But at the bottom of the ridge line, and it was about at least about 10 feet off the bike path, right before the ridge line started going like vertically straight up, basically, right? I see someone toss out a rock the size of like a softball, almost like a soft tennis ball sized rock, roundish, like a river rock that's been like rounded, sort of, not completely round because there were some flat spots, whatever, but it could roll. Do you know what I'm saying? It was fairly round, okay? Fairly round river rock, the size of a tennis ball, roughly, right? It's tossed out, and it lands on as I'm riding forward, right? I see somebody toss like a softball toss, like, not fastball where you're overhand, but softball, right? And it lands on the bike path, and it rolls and comes to a dead stop on the white line that separates the two ways, east and west of the bike path. It lands right on the white line. The white line is about 2 inches thick, maybe, white line, right? And so I see it, and I'm getting closer, right? And then there's a second rock is tossed out, right? And it rolls, same thing. It lands, same kind of motion. It lands on the bike path and rolls, comes to a dead stop on the white line again. Got maybe 2 or 3 inches space from the other rock. Both rocks are dead center on the white line. Okay, that got tossed out and rolled. Okay, you got that so far?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I look over as I get to the white rocks. As I look over to beside the ridge line, I see something metallic, pixelated, metallic color, pixelated, right? The size of about 4x8, sort of like a sheet of plywood, 4x8, right? Going up now, pixelated, metallic, pixelated in a metallic color, glitch, going up zigzag in 8-foot increments, block increments like a tic-tac-toe pattern up to the top of the ridge and then disappear. So about 5 times, 40 feet, 8-foot, they look like a sheet of plywood almost, 4x8 sheet of plywood that was pixelated in certain parts in the middle of the of this 4x8 rectangular shape. It went zigzag up the ridge in 8-foot increments till it hit the top of the ridge and then disappeared. Okay, you got that? Okay. So
Like
then,
something like that.
yes, like that, but staggered. It wasn't like it went this way, then the opposite till it hit the top. Like, it didn't just go like a ladder. It went like it changed pattern. So it got to, but it was in 8-foot increments, like you drew. But the next one would be on the left, then the next one would be on the right. So it hit the top, and then vanished. Okay. So then I get off, and I said, "Wow, what happened?" And so I get off my bike, put my kickstand down right on the bike path there, pick up the 2 rocks and hold them in my hand, right? In my left hand, I'm holding them. I'm like, wow, who did that? I know who did it, right? But I'm just wondering why he did it, right? And I said to my friend, look what just rolled out. He goes, I seen the one come out, whatever, but he didn't see the first one get tossed out, right? He only seen the part of the second one get tossed out because he was finally catching up to me. And I said, I can't believe it. These 2 rocks. I said, I'm wondering. I said there was an earthquake or some kind of tremor, and these things rolled down from the ridge or something. But I said they stopped right on the white line, both of them, right? And he was like dumbfounded, right, along with myself, right, trying to figure out what are the odds of both of them like dead center on the white line, the thin white line there on the bike path that separated the 2, east and west course, like you're going one way, the other people are riding or walking the other way, separating so you don't have collisions. So a 2-lane bike path, left and right, north, south, whatever, east, west. So next, I'm holding the rocks and I'm looking around. I said, did you feel anything or whatever, an earthquake, a tremor, anything like that? I asked my friend, and he says, no, not really. I said, are you sure? You don't see any other rocks or, and then we're looking around. We don't really see anything, right? Other than what we have on our vacuum. And then, so we're looking around, and I'm on the bike path, and he's like, so I said, look, let's look around. I'll look over here. You look there and see if you see any other rocks or something, any other, weird thing, whatever. We're just looking around. And then I get a telepathic or mind speak message from the Bigfoot, right? Telling me to, he's angry with me, wants to talk to me, right? I said, oh God, right? This is like, remember, 2 days after the adventure there where I couldn't cross the field. I said, okay. He says, get rid of your friends, right? Send them away, he says, right? I want to talk to you alone. I get this message, mind speak, telling me, telepathic mind speak. I said, and I talk back to him and say, okay, I will. I tell him, right? I'll send him away, right? All right. He says, I want to talk to you, right? Send your friend away. I want to talk to you alone. Okay. I said, all right. So I tell my friend, hey, listen, look, we got to look. You go down there. Something's up, right? He goes, something's up because of what happened the other day, So I said, you go down there, right? About 50, about 150, 100 feet there and check to see if there's anything. And I'll check over here, right? Check in the bush, like, just off the bike path, the shoulder there or whatever, the ground, for any, other signs of, if there was, tremors or earthquake or something, right? And so, okay. So he strangely followed my directions to just go back, retrace back, walk back down, 100 feet down and start looking around, and that. So then, so I watched him. I'm just moseying around, sort of looking around, and wait till he gets to about 100 feet. I measured what 100 feet is. Okay, that at first he says this. No, I said a little further down. I told him, keep going a little further down, right? So you had to go another 20, 30 feet. Okay, I said, that's good. Right there. Start looking around, I told him, right? So about 100 feet. So all of a sudden, okay, I got the rocks in my hand. I turn. I start going towards the ridge. I look up, and there is the 7-foot something Bigfoot standing there, reddish brown colored, right? Reddish brown colored. Excuse me. Standing there, angry, looking at me, real angry and mad, And I go, oh God. And my hands, I got the 2 rocks in my hands, in my left hand. My hands are stained purple from all the Saskatoon berries. They're like blueberries, purplish stain. They got a purplish stain, purplish blue stain all over my hands, all over my my lips, my mouth, my tongue was purplish blue. I'm guilty of eating those berries along the way, and plus from where the marked territory was, right? And he, but what's strange was, other than that first mind speak, right? He did not communicate again telepathically with me, but he's standing there huffing, like all upset with me, standing there all huffed up, whatever, and that looking at me, and I look right at him, right? And I'm holding out, and so, okay, now here comes the strange part. The sun was on his back. Okay, it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Late August, hot day, about 80 degrees, and you could see his reddish hair. He almost had like orangutan type hair, where it hung down about 12 to about 15 inches long. Right, 12 to 15 inches long off his forearms there, or this section here, if you can see it, my arm. Like from here to about here, right? And each hair, he had long hair on his body. He had he was fully covered in hair. There was no skin on his face. Everything was hair, okay? But it was immaculate for some reason. You could see every single strand of hair. And each hair had a globule of golden color oil attached to the hair, right? You could see a globule of oil, right? Attached to the hair, glistening in the sun. And there was not one knot in that hair, on its body. It was like immaculate, right? And like, I had long hair myself, and I said, I don't know how he does that, right? I always get knots in my hair. How the heck does he, But you could physically see like little globs of oil. And each strand of hair had a glob of oil, right? Glistening in the sun as it stood there. And so I made this, I know it's angry with me, so I reckon it was for the berries, right? So, but it didn't. It did not communicate again, like telepathically. Only that first time, telling me, get rid of my friend, send him away. So I take my the 2 balls in my hand and my arms. I don't have any weapons other than my knife, buck knife, attached on my sheath. Right. I got my. I'm also wearing. What do you call those? Deer hide. Those strips of leather. Naga hide, deer hide, whatever it's. This long strips of leather. With a cross attached to it around my neck to hang it down. Halfway down on my chest here, way down here. right? A big cross with Jesus on it. Wooden cross with the figure of Jesus attached to it on it. Okay, like with Jesus nailed to the cross, right?
Crucifix.
Wooden cross with a wooden Jesus attached on top of the cross, right? Like he's being crucified, So that's hanging from my neck down, visible. I'm wearing I think I was wearing my muscle a muscle shirt or whatever. So I spread my arms out like this, straight out like this. I didn't realize I was making the symbol of a cross. I was just making the symbol like I held my palms up in the air and showing him like he right this. I'm at the bottom of the ridge. I could see him very clear. Like he's only about 40, 50 feet away. He's 40 feet for the ridge and about almost about 6 to 10 feet away from the bottom of the ridge. I'm standing at the top. I got my arms outstretched and I'm holding the two rocks in the one hand, the two tennis ball sized rocks in my left hand. My right hand is open. Both of my palms are facing up and I look right at him, right? And I stare right at him and all of a sudden we get into a staring contest with each other. I stare at him right in his eyes and he does the same with me for about a minute straight, 60 seconds minimum. And guess what? The Bigfoot did not blink. I blinked first. So I blinked. He got in a staring contest. I looked straight into him. I looked right into his, right inside of him, to see if he was evil or not. I didn't sense any real evil though, but still I sensed danger, but I didn't sense any real hardcore evil, at that time, right? But I did sense danger, that he was dangerous, but not demon or evil, that kind of way, okay? But more like creature danger, That's what I sensed at the time. As I stared at, whatever, I didn't know, like you're not supposed to, people say you're not supposed to stare into the eyes of these creatures or whatever. At that time, I didn't know that, or I wouldn't have done that, I had that staring contest for about a minute straight, and then I gave up. He did not blink at all. He had black eyes, right? There was no pupils. It was just solid black, right? Okay, and he had sort of like a grayish black leather for weathered leather, sort of for his fingers. And which had hair covered his top, but you could see the blackish grayish black, weathered leather look for his fingers, hands, and especially the bottom of his feet. The top of his feet, like I said, everywhere was covered in fur. When he walked away, you could see the sole of his feet, right? Were huge, and same thing, that grayish black, dark gray, like more than a gunmetal gray. It was a really dark, weathered look on the bottom of his feet. Okay, I could see it when he lifted up his foot every time to walk away. I could see a bit of that. Okay, he lifted up his foot pretty high up to walk away.
Did you see claws?
No, I didn't see any claws. No, he didn't have any claws, and he didn't have any sharp, what do you call that? The fang teeth hanging down. He didn't have any of that. Okay.
Did you see him open his mouth?
No, but he had like a grin, sort of like, look at me. You would have seen anything hanging down. He looked like he had a blocky teeth, You could sort of tell he had a block. But I did also get a side profile when I was looking at him, you couldn't see his neck. His neck was sunk down. I was a big guy. I was 250 pounds, 6 foot. I used to work out with this and that, and I had a nice V on me, right? Like up here, your shoulders, your back, and his was 3 times the size of my V. Okay, as I stood there like that, my, see, you got a V, your V here, the V section that comes out like a V, right? Right. His was 3 times the size of mine. Okay, in comparison, he was muscular built, smaller waist, but huge chest, right? So as he mimicked what I was doing, right? I guess I was making the symbol of the cross, and I guess he mimicked me and did the same thing and put his arms spread out like exactly like mine, right? And mimicked me, right? I think he was making the symbol of the cross like I had around my neck, and I made. But I was only at the time I didn't realize I was doing that. I was only showing him like I'm not a danger. I showed him my buck knife was on my side sheath, right? That's all I have. I don't have a gun. I don't have no weapon. My hands are right here. Okay, what do you want? I came to communicate. What do you want from me? But he didn't want to communicate after I did, whatever. He didn't talk to me again. He just was angry with me, right? For whatever reasons. He had his own reasons, right? He was a male, about 7+ feet, not 8 feet, but just a bit over 7 feet, right? But he was big, and he also when he turned. When he turned to leave, like I said, his head was more roundish. Okay, he didn't have that sagittal crest; it was more roundish, and he had like a bright reddish brown, almost orangutan color fur. But when he turned his jaw, like I said, he was sunken in like this. You couldn't see his neck, but when his jaw and everything looked like together. But when he turned sideways. His jaw was 3 times the size of our jaws, okay? Huge jaw, 3 times the size. I was like blown away how big that jaw was. And you could see the full detail of a jaw, which you couldn't see. When you looked at him straight on, he looked totally different from the side glance. Side glance, he looked like a human, right? Head on, he looked like a creature, animal, wild, something wild, But the side glance, he looked like a caveman type human almost, but not quite. And I'm telling you, that jawline was massive, which you couldn't tell that, not at all, when you looked at him straight on. But that side glance, it was massive, just huge jaw. I'm trying to think what else. The fingers, yeah, no, everything was clean. He didn't have any, whatever. He didn't have any long nails or anything like that. He was really immaculate.
Well
Right?
groomed.
Yeah, well, like the rock star Bigfoot like type of look, like he was almost like a celebrity. Like he looked like like you said, immaculate. Not one hair was out of place. I couldn't believe that. I said, how the heck do you do that? I had long hair, and my hair was always knotting up and getting messed up.
I get it.
Right. So after our stare down, whatever, what happened? Like I said, I stared right in his eyes for over a minute, and just over a minute, and then what happened? Oh, my friend started coming back. Right, that I sent away. He started walking towards me again. Coming back, and that. And he says, and he's going, "What do you see? What are you seeing? What do you see?" I said, "Oh, I had." And that's when he broke off the contact and turned, and I got the side glance and him stepping at the feet. The big lift on 45-degree lift from the knee down to the foot. It was a 45-degree lift. How can I make that? Like that, like but reverse, lifting his leg, his back leg back up 45 degrees off to the ground, from the ground, right? Like to walk away. And that's how I got a view of the bottom of his sole, his foot, He didn't just, saunter off like this. He actually took big steps to walk away, and just a couple. And he went behind the biggest cedar tree I ever seen. This thing was massive. That I only noticed after as he walked, when he was standing there, I noticed how big the cedar tree. It was like 3 times the size of twice the size of the largest cedar tree there. It was just one cedar tree that was massive, about 4 or 5 feet wide, whereas every other one was only max 3 feet max, right? I said, wow, I didn't notice that one before, how big that was. As you know, we had gone at least 10 times to, 10 times up that trail, at least to the site. I never noticed how big that one cedar tree was, that he went behind that cedar tree and disappeared. And I'm thinking he's going to peek back out, and he never did. I find they never, once they go, they don't peek back. They just keep going for some reason. That happened with me a few times. If I
The
see
way
him,
their legs lift and they step is like a spider.
right? No, like you remember the Patterson film, right? You know how Patty took those steps, those big steps like that? This one did the exact same kind of step away from me. Okay.
Do you think, did you see that big tree later? Could it have been what we call a fat tree with other Bigfoots, just, how they'll side around and they make
No,
it
I
look
looked there.
bigger?
I didn't see anything else. It was just the lone one Bigfoot. There was no other Bigfoot around it. It was like a rogue Bigfoot, just one. Right. But like I said, as it broke, how am I going to explain this? Like I said, as my friend started coming closer, it broke, more than halfway. It broke off the contact and walked away because my friend, he did not want my friend to see him. He was not allowed to see him. Only I was allowed to view him for whatever reason, So somehow he knew I had the contact, like, he was able to, he sent me the Mind Speak message, and that somehow they know, they have that connection. They know, like Jerry said, like a seer or whatever. They know, like you're marked somehow, right? They know, right?
But they can also see your guardian angel.
Oh, really?
Your guardian angel, especially what you just did. The guardian angel will always be at your backside, your back right side.
Right.
And it'll happen even if you pass out or get knocked out. That's when your guardian angel really can show itself, but it doesn't show itself to you. But the other ones can see it. Sometimes it looks like a blinding light to a
Right.
Bigfoot.
Right.
But whenever you're staring at it, only people who don't understand these things are not supposed to stare at it, to look at it. Their minds won't be able to handle it.
Right.
If they do that, they try to intimidate you and try to make a connection with you. But if they can't make that connection with you, they need to get away from you because your guardian angel is right there also.
Okay.
Only certain people can stare these things in the eyes.
Yeah, because it was like at least for over 60 seconds.
Yeah.
And I really looked right into his eyes, like I said, to sense if it was evil or some kind of demon, and I didn't get that feeling. All right.
But that's also a challenge when you do that. And even though you blinked, you were still staring at it. And it was waiting for you to break and run, turn, do something skittish. But since you didn't do that, it knew that you had either some extra sense, you had a special guardian, you had something other people don't have.
Okay.
Faith and trust also.
Right. Okay. I gotta add a part. I forgot to add here. 1 second. When I had first sent my friend away, right? And I had the rocks in my hand. And I sent it. I thought, okay, that's fine. I said, that's good. Wait. Okay. So I started looking around. I started walking up towards the ridge. And that's when I looked up, and up, and then boom, right at the top of the ridge, looking down at me was the Bigfoot there, the Sasquatch looking right down at me. I'm like, at first, I'm like, wow. Like, it caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting that. I knew he was around, but, all of a sudden, so I turned and took a couple steps, quick steps, not running, but sort of like a walk fast steps, about 4 or 5 steps, and I stopped. Right, I stopped. Right, as I had turned and walked 4 or 5 steps away, because I seen I got sort of like freaked out. Right, and all of a sudden my curiosity, I said, "Wait a minute, you don't see one of these every day." For whatever reason, curiosity got better of me. I turned and walked back, and he was still. I wasn't sure when I turned around if he was going to still be there, but he was still there waiting for me to turn around and come back. Right. He didn't leave, right? He stood there waiting for me, okay? He did not budge. He stayed there, okay? And I guess, yeah, I stopped in my tracks and turned around, and I said, wait a minute. You don't see one of these every day like this. That was the first time I'd seen a red one like that, I'm in Alberta, a different province, I said, wow, I got to find out what this means, And I said, I don't know what's going to happen, but I trusted my, God and, my guardian angels to protect me somehow, and find out what's going on here. I know I did something wrong. I better find out. And I knew it was because of the berries, because I know my hands were stained, and, and we burnt his, I already knew that from the confirmation of the telepath message I got. So, yeah, that's when, yes, and that's when I showed him, and that I had nothing to hide here. That's when I put I didn't realize I was making the symbol of the cross, though, and that, I'm just trying to show. After I about 20 seconds later, I realized what I was doing, but he mimicked me. He did the same thing and put his arms out and that, and then we had the staring contest, and that, and like I said, I couldn't go on any much longer, so I did. I blinked on, to break it off. I knew he wasn't going to blink after.
What you did is exactly what a warrior would have done.
Oh, really?
You caught the Bigfoot off guard. Although, whenever they threw those stones at you, and they got all day to throw stones. I used to play horseshoes. I could put a ball in any place I need to.
Mm-hmm.
But that is to either get you to leave or to use it as a decoy to get you to start looking for it, to follow it. They'll always be on that ridge, and they'll always be where the sun is.
Right. I believe that 100%. I know they take, always they take the high point, the ridge there, and the sun in the back there. Yes.
I had one do that and silhouette me, and I stood in the shadow, and another tracker told me that don't happen. I'm saying,
Yes,
I seen it.
I beg to differ.
Right.
And then always puts you at a disadvantage automatically.
But-
those are ambush spots.
And also, I don't recommend doing this, and anyone who's listening to this, I don't recommend doing this.
Same here. No.
But if you do want to call a Bigfoot in, there's 3 ways to do that, and that's to make the sound of a screech owl. They'll come in, make the sound of a wolf, and also what we call a rabbit dance. That's where you beat on the drum or the ground or the floor or a log like 3 times 1, 3 times 1, 3 times 1.
Yeah, like a thumping noise. Yeah,
and wait. And you'll see it. It'll come over the ridge in that sun. That's why we know if you want to call in, do that, but be watching because that's where it's coming from.
Right.
But I don't recommend anybody doing that. But
right. So what about when it went up the side of the, almost like a vertical 90-degree vertical ridge there, like I said, in that block pattern there, but it was pixelated.
The way you walk up a mountain, a hill, or a temple is zigzag.
Okay.
Everybody does that. Bigfoots do it, but they also have that extra appendage, that joint. So it's like wherever they step, it's like an extra grab. So they can actually go straight up if they want to.
Yeah, because this was straight up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we also know that they have boxes and screens made out of their own skin and fur that can also be squared off looking. And that's how sometimes it looks like they can disappear behind a wall,
Right.
or they can hide their prey or their victims with those kinds of things.
And they can also get a group of other Bigfoots who will line up like that across
Right.
a whole
Yeah.
bunch
Yes.
of them. And being translucent, whenever they step behind that line, it's like they disappear.
Yeah. Okay. I get that part. Yes. I've seen that in photos and videos. Yeah.
Okay.
You're right. I'll try and show it again sometime there if I, dig up some past photos. And that I know exactly what you're talking about.
And that you holding those stones
Yeah.
like this, and then the challenge was on.
Right. Because afterwards, when he broke it up afterwards, I left those stones, right there on the just off to the side there, where off to the side. I gave him back to him. I acknowledged what he gave me, and I acknowledged that now I'm giving them back to you. Right?
You were actually kind of saying, now what?
Yeah.
Now what?
Right.
Just like a warrior. So you made it.
I don't know because I had a bad experience before that when I found some stone tools, right? With indigenous stone tools, and I was being haunted in my sleep, being terrorized in my sleep, and I had to bring these stone tools and put them back on sacred land, native sacred land, right? Put them back, and within about. And I'm telling you, I came where I had got them up in Manitoba, Ontario, and all the way down to visit my mom. I was being like every time I closed my eyes, I was being terrorized, and I seen the people in the visions. And same at my mom's 3 days. I was supposed to be there a week. I had to cut it short and get back on a bus and travel 1,000 miles so I could put them back down on that I knew up at Sault Ste. Marie was a native land, sacred land there, right? I walked down to the park, I put it there beside the tree, and then within an hour, I started feeling the ease, and then within a couple, about 5-6 hours, I was terrified to close my eyes. I finally, fell asleep, and it had dissipated. It hadn't gone away completely. It dissipated. Then, about 12, 14 hours later, it was completely gone. It never came back again to me. But for about 3-4 days, 5 days there, I think the one day, 3, and the one day, 4 or 5 days, I was going through hell, man, being terrorized big time. I don't know if there was a curse placed on these stone tools or something happened, from the native wars there, the Indian wars there, late 1800s, or that was actually the what do you call it, Louis Riel area there, where he was up there in Manitoba. I think I found him close to where those settlements. What are they called? I forget their name, but somewhere up there, there was something had happened, right? So I have to get more info on that and tell you next time.
Well, we also tell people not to gather or pick up arrowheads because those have been used to kill or something happened.
Right.
And they can have that energy kind of like a conduit.
Right.
That recently just happened with one of our trackers that they're in Oregon, and they were camping, and at one site they found an old arrowhead on a new shaft. They took it home. Well, she didn't want to take it home, but the boyfriend insisted. Took it home, and she was attacked in her sleep. She just all kinds of terrible things.
Yeah. I was being attacked in my sleep
Take
too.
it back, put it back, and she did. And
she went back and took it back too.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you did everything right.
Yeah, that's good. That's good because I had to do the same thing, and I didn't want to cut short my trip with my mom. To visit her. I hadn't seen, barely seen her in 3-4 months there. Couple. I wanted to spend some time and do something. And no, I had to literally pack up and go as fast as I could, and bring them back. And I knew that was, since we're kids in school, they talked about Sault Ste. Marie, and high school we studied about that was sacred land for the natives, right? So I knew I couldn't wait to get another 800 miles, right, and fall asleep. No way. I said, I'm putting them here. I'll take my chances. I pray, and say a little prayer and please forgive me for whatever transgressions I did, and it was just 3 little tools, like you could tell, it was like a hammering type, sort of like another like chisel, sort of like stretching for leather. It was just simple little rock tools, but they had so much power, energy. I felt when I picked them up, I could feel the energy in them, sense them. And then late, I didn't realize till after. I'm like, oh man, I'm in trouble, right? It was horrible, and then we're getting worse and worse. That was literally a basket case for 3 days. I was absolutely terrified to close my eyes. That's how bad it was.
Yep.
Okay, even to take a small 10-minute rest, it didn't let up.
Affected your mom too.
Yeah.
Probably, I don't know. She didn't say.
No, if you had just left him there and just
Oh yeah,
continued,
no, I wasn't leaving him
rippled
nowhere.
out.
Yeah. Oh, I already know about all that kind. My mom always talked about that kind of stuff. Attachments to these sort of things. You'd always hear bang or boom. I had certain things. Certain maybe a chain or a necklace or a bracelet or something. A rock, certain rocks, and I knew. Even something. Even finding something, a certain thing. Whatever it was, a medallion or whatever, that something was attached. But my mom would always freak. Why is that door, the closet door going kaboom always, 3 in the morning, boom, or certain times, and it was really loud. I said it could be it's a metal door, could be the metal tram, but it wasn't. It was, we know, right? My mom would get in there and throw shit out,
headstone once, and we're like, oh no, thank you.
Right? She would burn the frankincense and then put it all there over. That would calm it down for a little while, and then she'd have to do it again, right? And that. But I think I know that's what happens. But yeah, so too, it's like I said, that had just previously happened a couple months before that. That's why I said, no way, I'm not taking these rocks, right? And I put them down there beside the tree there, and that where it can see them from the top of the ridge right there if it wants them back, because they were rounded, right? It's harder to find these kind of rocks. They probably have a whole bunch. But maybe not. I said, here you go. I get, acknowledged. Here's your gift back. Thanks, but for the 2 rocks, I don't know if I was supposed to take them or not. I always thought about this for years, but I said, but what happened with the other stone tools? I always said no. I was right to leave them there. That's all, because I knew there was some kind of attachment to them. So if I took them, they could have interdimensionally shown up anytime, right? I thought I figured or something. I didn't know if there was like any other symbolic, I've asked around. I've never really got any other answer to that. Right. But if there was anything symbolic to, because they threw out 2 rocks instead of 1, do you have any idea about that or no?
Well, all these things can be used as conduits.
Right. But I'm saying, did the number was, I was stopping when I seen the 1, right? To pick, I couldn't believe it threw out a second one. I guess to make sure I seen the first one. Pardon me?
There was 2 of you there.
Right.
And also that first one, that one was just to catch your attention, to tell you to turn back but you didn't turn back.
It wasn't
They
supposed to
threw
go
another
past.
one.
Precisely, they can aim.
So they threw another one. They're
Yeah,
saying,
but they weren't actually like throwing it at me. They threw it
yeah,
like,
10
feet, 10 or
Warning.
20 feet in front of me, onto the trail. They weren't throwing it at me though.
Yeah, it was ahead of you, but it was saying stop, go back, but
Warning.
you didn't do that, so they threw another one.
Okay, all right. I get you. Yes, I get it now. Right, double warning, and then it said it was angry at me and wanted to talk to me. Right, it was blaming me, not my friend.
Yeah.
Now,
So-
there are several stories of the sentries being extremely well groomed, as in a military person would be. And that's what he sounds like to me.
Right. Yeah, probably because he wasn't, 8 feet or over. He was big, but he wasn't that big. So,
And the ones that we're going to see up close are not going to be the 40-footers.
no.
Ugly ones.
Yeah. Or the vicious looking ones. They're going to be, a decoy for us. They're going to be something that we're like, hey, that's pretty nice looking, or something.
Pretty ones up front.
Yeah, they'll have the pretty ones up front. They won't have the vicious, sharp teeth, snarling, drooling, 50, 6 finger, all that, 3-foot claw, They're going to show that one, but they're also going to show it as a strength.
All right. Okay.
You showed up as a warrior.
What's that?
You showed up as a warrior.
Okay. Yeah, I believe that. Right. Yeah. I think I caught, like you said, caught it off guard with my actions. What I did.
Yeah.
I was totally surprised it. But also remember, I had the cross on a leather rope.
Yep.
Hanging down here, the big cross, right? The big cross on my chest. So I was like, I'm with God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? God is my, my savior and protector.
Yep.
Right. Okay, I need a couple 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I gotta put some eye drops in my eyes there for a second.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks. I'll be right back. Okay.
Are you okay to keep talking?
Oh yeah, I'm fine. I just gotta get a drink and
Okay.
stuff.
Okay.
Okay, I'll be right back. Thank you.
We'll catch up on comments while you do that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
We're going to skip back, not real far, but just far enough so that we can get a couple of comments. And CT is taking care of the
Marcelo's here. Hello, Marcelo.
the translation for us. Thank you, CT.
Doris is here.
Doris
Hello,
is
Doris Diaz. Hola.
Lupita.
Hello, Pita. Love your sunflowers. Lupita's eyes are wide open,
Good.
listening.
Jeremy.
Jeremy Wilson's here. He says, wow, me and Dad hunt arrowheads every now and then. Yeah, I used to think it was a cool thing too. I just didn't know. We don't know till we do. Henry White says, I'll catch you all later. Good night. Good night, Henry.
Okay, Henry.
Sorry we missed.
And we'll talk to you on emails. Henry.
Yeah.
Parkway. Hey.
Parkway says, I've seen flint arrowheads too small for the Cherokee children.
Yep. Those go with the even the small ones are called bird arrows.
Little people. Yeah.
But little people use them too.
Tracker C says, Henry, take care. Jeremy Wilson says, I'm still kicking. That's good.
Good.
Carla Castro. Hello, Carla. Hola. Junior Wolf says, I must have a bad connection. I keep losing you guys. Uh-oh. Glad you're here, though, Junior. Jeremy says it's been raining here. It sounds like it's been raining everywhere. Junior Wolf says it's annoying when that happens. Yes. Tracy Umph That's a name I don't recognize. Welcome,
Hello,
welcome.
Tracy.
Linda, pray we must says, hi, everyone, learning more and more. Thank you.
Hi, Linda. Good seeing you, hearing from you.
Christian says, thank you, Scarboro Warriors.
There
And
you
Parkway says, I relate to the clean, groomed look, salon quality hair. Yeah, I don't relate to that whatsoever.
go.
You just, it's a mess. JR says, I always thought the arrowheads found me. Well, maybe they have, JR. Bernice says, good evening, just signed in. Hey, Bernice.
Hey,
Tracker
good.
B. And then Carla Castro again. Okay, caught up on comments.
All right, and we'll wait for our guest to return. A lot of interesting information here, Sharon, and
Yeah.
also things that you can do if you do have encounters.
And he'll also be, for those that are late, he'll also be on our program, the Tracking Miracles and Encounters, on the LeadTrackerE channel on Thursday night.
And TrackerC says he had a good doctor's appointment, and the doctor says he's going to keep on keeping on.
Good.
And we love to hear that. We love to hear that.
We didn't doubt it for a minute.
And Tracy says hello to us
And blessings.
and blessings. And Jeremy Wilson is saying, right on, Charles. Keep on keeping on.
Good. One thing I noticed coming up on several of his measurements was the numbers 3 and 6, with the 3 times around the tree up, 3 times around the tree down, 6 steps within the tree. Like 3 of his stories involved the numbers 3 and 6. And also that they kept trying to isolate him.
Yeah.
Everywhere they're trying to isolate him, trying to isolate his girlfriend.
TrackerE, those are margaritas, not sunflowers. Laugh out loud. Lupita says, hello there. Hello, Lupita. Christian.
Hold on, I'll
Yeah,
be
we're
right there.
glad-
1 minute. All right, just gotta wipe my eyes.
Okay.
Okay,
And we're glad you're here, CT, translating for everybody.
for sure.
Doing a wonderful job. She says, Doris Diaz, question, how do you know where is the portal? Well, we'll wait for our guest for that also. But also, you can feel the energy. You can actually see some disturbance in that area. Wind will go into that area sometimes.
They don't all look the same. Some can look square, some can look round. They may look like a black hole, a black shadow. They may look like a swirling. They may look like a light. They may look like static. It may be nothing visual, but it's just a sense that you get. Carla?
And nothing good is past that portal. Don't go into any
Never.
portals.
Never.
There's only predators in those portals. So stay on this side and be safe. Also, for our guest, Scarboro, people want to know how you were able to recognize the portal.
The portal, I was able to see it. And then, yeah, that's an interesting one because I said when I first I discovered the sort of like a ley line, the energy line, right, running all the way down through the brick wall, right, from one end of the brick wall all the way down, with the portal in the center, where the junction where the old brick wall met the new brick wall. There was 2 properties turned into one for the schoolyard, you know. So like, you know, when the Board of Education must have bought the property, there was the property their wall, right? I guess he opened it up, but there was 2 different property walls. Like somebody had an older stone wall, and then there was a newer stone wall on the second half. So let's say it's 200-foot long stone wall. At 100 feet was the old stone wall, right? Then then the other 100 feet was a newer, let's say built 50 years. The other one was built 100 years previously, right? And in the middle was the junction, energy junction, whatever, where the portal was. I don't like, old meets new or whatever the walls, right? But like I said, that I could see the faint outline of a 3-foot diameter circumference diameter of a circle, like with visible to my eyes. It was like a flat black type of color for inside the circle. And then I said when the portal was active, that color became brighter. I could see it like not gloss, but it went from like a faded flat black to like a medium black sort of color. Do you understand that part now?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Like a deep shadow.
Yes. I don't know if other people could sense or see that, or maybe thought somebody might have spray painted something there, but it wasn't spray paint because I checked to see if it was paint, and it wasn't paint,
Somebody marked that area because they put this together.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
was
I don't know
past
what was...
meets the present, like a transition.
And I wonder if children were missing from that school.
I don't know. I don't know. It was an old property, like at least that area was old part of town. It was in downtown Toronto, and so. And I was older, I don't know. I'd have to try and find the information on that somehow,
I know that Toronto has a lot of missing people too, especially a lot of indigenous up there.
Right. Before that, like I said, everything was either like, indigenous people there lived in those areas, right? All around there. So I would have to find, I haven't done, I went back there when I was 19, and I brought my younger brother, right? Okay, he was about a year or 2 years, whatever, younger, and I brought him with me. We went back to that school area because we used to live down the street, right? And I went back, when I was 19. We were visiting relatives. My relatives used to live around the corner, my grandmother, okay, and relatives before they moved to further to the west end of town, right? This was in downtown Toronto. So I took my brother there, my little brother, my younger brother, and I wanted to see if he could sense anything, right? And I didn't think he could. I was hoping he could, or he played stupid with me, maybe. I don't know. He didn't want to admit it. But I said, come on, do you sense it? Nah, he didn't. He drank, so he was brain dead half the time, I think. He drank, and so he would have hangovers or whatever, and he would lose memory of things. He couldn't remember. I had a, what do you call it, photographic memory, right? Whereas he didn't, once he'd go out drinking or something, that was it. Everything was a blur after that. So, but he said he couldn't sense anything, or he was afraid to. I don't think he was afraid. I think he really couldn't sense anything. He didn't have that skill. I was curious, but no, he couldn't sense anything because he was looking around. He didn't know where to look and I brought him over and showed him the brick wall. It was still there. Like I said, 10 years later, 07, 19, but 12 years later, and it was still there. And it was only a faint outline, like I said, of that thing. So it wasn't active when I brought it, but the outline of the circular, the 3-foot circle, was still there. The outline of it. And I could see that faded black. It was even more faded black this time, like it hadn't been in use for a long time,
Is it still there?
I don't know. I'm not even sure if the school and that are still there. I was trying to check it out on Google. I wasn't sure. I have to check it, go there one day.
I'm pretty sure that if it's not there, some of that brick will be there, or there'll be a monument, some kind of, somebody knows.
Yeah, I'm going to go there in the next month when we go back downtown to visit a friend. there. We're gonna make a stop and check it out one day, you know.
That'll
And
be interesting.
A lot of people will make sure that it stays there, or they'll put an arc there or something there.
yeah, I'm gonna film the area and see what comes of it, right? I've been always curious because, like I said, that's my first big, you know, thing. But when I was 19, I brought my brother there. We were visiting relatives. They lived down the street, and it was just a short ride, 10, 15 minutes there, right? So 10 minutes, and yeah, it was still there. That was back in the early 80s. So now it's been, you know, almost 40 years, right? So
It'll be interesting.
yeah, if they
Sure
haven't
you
done any
take
kind,
pictures.
yeah, I will. I will.
Those little
I,
entities, well, that bully boy came with his own demons, clearly. But those two entities, they could have revealed themselves to him too and disappeared. He couldn't have done anything about it, even if they knew. They'd go up and poke the wall, and if they didn't want the portal open, it wouldn't be opened. They could
right,
have helped you if they wanted to, but their job was done.
right,
They
right.
didn't cry because you got hurt. Put it that way.
No, no, they didn't. Right? They were upset. You know, they were worried about being spotted and seen. Right? They put up some kind of mask illusion, sort of, and if the people look really hard at them, they will see them. But casually, no. It's like an illusion. They see something else, like you're seeing a cat or something else, a ball, yeah, like whatever, something else, a toy or something, or just you think of something else. But but they gave me the clue that if you look really hard at them, you'll see them. You know, like those who cannot see, you know, if they stare hard enough, they can break through the veil. You know.
Yeah. Could we pick up where you left
Yes, yes,
off
yes,
at the
yes.
last Bigfoot standoff?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So now, like I said, the Bigfoot, he went, you know, he broke off the contact. He went. He's angry, right? He went off behind the cedar tree and disappeared. That huge cedar, 5 foot radius, wide cedar, and was gone. And we went off. And my friend goes, "What did you see? What did you see?" And I said, "I think I seen a bear." He said, right? Yeah, I was about to spill the beans, and then I said, "Wait a minute, don't!" Right? Because he's gonna turn around and flee for his life, right? We're not gonna get to camp. We're not gonna have steak dinner. We're not gonna have
We go eat.
whatever. Marshmallows roasting by the open flame there, nothing, We're going to go back to the city, which we didn't want to do, We wanted to, enjoy the nice weather, camp and fresh air. So I didn't tell him. So I told him a bear, and he looked kind of dumbfounded. A bear, yeah. I said, yeah, it looked like a bear. I said, yeah, right, whatever. What's the bear want? I don't know. No, I'm joking. A bear. He's kind of a little bit worried, but not too much, right? I said, nah, don't worry. It's just a small bear, I said, right? Okay, so we go, right? Got out again. All right, so we go to the campsite, whatever. That's not an issue. Like I said, all right, he let me, whatever day, whatever. I led the way, and that was it. We were saying whatever, made it there. So, anyways, later he's got we got the fire going, this and that, And I said, what would you do, if you would ever, we got the campfire going. It's nighttime, right? Then later on, after we spent a day, it was calm. I didn't see the Bigfoot anywhere around, but I could sense he was still around, right? We should have, I should have turned around and fled, right? But no, I went, I let my friend come camping, and that we proceeded to set up the tent, did all that, whatever we had to do, make dinner, all that stuff. So we're enjoying, he's having a couple drinks in that, and he's got the fire going, and I'm looking around, and I see, like I said, there was a patch up here that we had the marker, those Saskatoon berry, and then down, just down, about 50, 100 feet away from us, 50 feet. There was another patch, a smaller patch of trees that weren't quite, as mature as the ones that were up behind our tent where we were camped, right? The ones down by the river, beside the river, were only half the size. But I could see the Bigfoot moseying around during the middle of the night, 10, 11, 12 there. And I could see his eye shine was pixelated as he's looking up at our campsite. Like, we're up here a little bit elevated, and he's just, let me see. Where's the camera? All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We're like, about this height, and it's just a little lower, the elevation, 20 feet, just lower than us, sort of, and about 50 feet out, 100 feet, a little grove of these Saskatoon that were planted there. It was a little grove, about 20, 30 trees or something there, but they were smaller trees that the Parks and Rec had planted beside the riverbed. The river, I mean, there, I guess, to prevent erosion and also for food and stuff for the animals, right? And what happened then was he was, moseying between the trees there, right? The Saskatoon berry trees, looking up at our campsite. And I could see his eye shine was pixelated, right? And I think there were street lights further from the parking lot that was probably catching his eye shine, his eyes. And it was that same pixelated look. And also I seen like the white, glowing white sort of color too, not yellow or whatever. I think it was white, but it was like your light bulbs that are frosted, that kind of look. You know what I mean? Okay, that too I seen, right? Either the pixelated or the frosted white, like your light bulb type of look, right? And the pixelated look, metal glitch look, was the same as the when it went up the side of the ridge, right? Now this one, yeah. So, and I see him moseying around. So I said to my friend, "What would you do if you, if you've seen instead of I was gonna say big, same thing again. If you've seen a bear," I said, right? I changed my mind. I said I'm not gonna agitate him. I said, "What if it's a bear?" So he picks up a huge fire log about 4 or 5 feet, and he's doing some crazy dance and smacking the flames, boom, boom, sending all these sparks and flames up in the air, I'm like, oh my gosh. Right? And he was looking down at the Bigfoot, and he's like, wondering what the heck we're doing, and so I said, so later on, okay, I seen him moseying around between the trees. He's waiting for us to fall asleep. This is about 1, 2 later, He had come back. He had disappeared somewhere. He was there and he was gone. He came back 2 or 3 times, about 3 times, to check up on us to see if we were, had activity, still fall asleep. So I think we passed out about 2 or 3, it's about 2 or 3 around there. I can't remember, somewhere between 2 or 3 in the morning. But he kept waiting to see if, watching what we're doing, right? The activity, to see what we're doing there, and that wait for us to fall asleep. He's coming to our campsite, right? So my friend there, he says after, he's got to go to bed, whatever, we're going to bed. I can't, I'm pretty sure it was, I think around 3 o'clock, almost 1. Yeah, hold on 1 second. And what happened next? This is what happened. He passes out. My friend passes out. He starts snoring right away. He had it because he had a few drinks there, about 3 or 4 drinks. And my friend there, hold on, sorry. I have a hard time with this part. This is, where the Bigfoot then, I'm the only one left in the tent, like awake, right? And I hear the footsteps coming. I knew he was around. I could hear him. He came closer in stages, right? As he didn't come right away. Boom, 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 boom. He came. He moved closer and closer. He take about 5, 6 steps. and get closer to our site. And a few more, 5, 6 steps. He did that about three or four, 3 stages at least from the grove of trees up, getting closer and closer to us. And then the footsteps kept getting louder. Boom, boom. I could hear him walking, okay? As I'm laying there in my tent. I had shoved all my gear up against the side of the wall and that, whatever, laying on my sleeping bag, right? My bicycle, my mountain bike, I had 2 chains, double chained, wrapped tight around the tree. The tent was attached to the tree, tied to the tree, and my bike was tied to the other side of the tree, right, with double chain. And I took the locks, the padlocks, right, key padlocks, and I hit one up here and one underneath on the sprocket inside where he might not be able to see where I hit it, right? And really tight. And I had to redo the chain, make sure you couldn't budge that bike. I was worried he was going to do something to my bike for some crazy reason. I had that feeling, right? Or whatever. And it was really tight. You couldn't move the bike, okay? I had to reset the chain and tighten it even more so you couldn't budge it, right? And that and hid the padlock inside there on the sprocket and changed it to the sprocket so it was tight so you couldn't pull, yank on it or anything like that if he knew what to do. It probably didn't matter. He could have just pulled the whole chain and snapped the chain, But at the time, I didn't know, what he could do or what couldn't do. So what happened then was, like I said, I heard him coming closer. And then finally, boom, he's right outside our tent. And I think he hip checked or he hip checked my bike or he did something. He slapped my bike. He shook the whole tent, the tree, everything, right? He did it twice. I'm looking over at my friend. He's out cold, right? He's not budging. I said, "Oh God, I'm by myself here." So all I did was, what am I gonna do? I took my buck knife and tied it with a rope to my hand, right? Just in case, so I could just poke and get out or something, if he comes for me. I didn't know what to do. I tied that knife. I'm laying there, right? I tied that buck knife to my hand in case it, gets not something to poke at, I didn't know what's going to happen. And I said, I knew I didn't stand a chance, whatever's going to happen. Even with that little buck knife I had, it might just buy me enough time to rip, the tent and escape or poke at its nose, face, whatever. I don't know his eyes, something I was thinking. I don't know, but he's mad. He's angry at me. So I did, like I said, and my friend, he's out cold. So I didn't know what to do. And then, like I said, the second time when he shook that tent hard, okay, he shook the bike, the tent, the tree. I said, "Oh my God." And I heard him, he grunted each time he hit that tree. He slapped it. He let out a sort of like a grunt, a growl or grunt, part growl. Do you understand? Yeah. So he grunted, like warning me, like a huff, a grunt, like not a huff, but a grunt growl, sort of like, like a warning. He's mad at me still, right? And then that's when I said, "Oh my God, what?" That's when I started, I started praying really hard to God, and to protect me and save me, like really, really, like, I was just a casual, like mild prayer, but this time I put it on thick and reached out to God really fast and hard, and to help and protect me, right? Yeah, of course, that's right. Really hard, to me from the heart, pray to God, and then,
Fervent prayers.
pardon me.
Fervent prayers.
Yeah, and next thing you know, something like I'm like I'm awake, but something all of a sudden happened. It's like my guard angel or something pushed my head down onto my sleeping bag. Right, I'm trying to fight it, and pushed me down as I heard. As this is happening, I heard the Bigfoot, the Bigfoot, his steps leading away from the tent, right? And they're getting, the sound is getting quieter as he's leading away. He's leaving, like, leaving. Sorry, trying to find the word here. As he's exiting away from our campsite, for all of a sudden, right? He's not boom, boom. It's actually going quieter and quieter and quieter. Each step is getting quieter, right? And when he came up to us, it was boom, boom. Whereas when he left, it was like boom, 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 like, right away as he walked away from our campsite. And I'm trying to fight it, and next time, boom, I'm out cold. Something pushed my head down onto my sleeping bag. I couldn't fight. Boom. Next time I wake up, it's daylight. Okay. Something put me to sleep. The guardian angel put me to sleep. Yeah, weird. Yeah, because I wasn't I was terrified. I was scared. My adrenaline was pumping, but something put me to sleep, man. Pushed my head down. I couldn't fight it. I tried, and no, I was out cold. I woke up. I'm like, wow, it's daylight. We're alive, and yeah, we're still alive. The tent isn't ripped to shreds, this and that, but Buddy's still sleeping. What happened? Like, why? I guess God saved us, I guess, right? Yeah. Thank you. I prayed again, thank you for helping me and saving me, right? And next thing you know, right, I opened the door, and guess what? There's a pile of bear scat or whatever right in front of our door. Like berry color, like the berries we were eating. It was that color in that. But it was a huge pile of scat right in front of our tent door. As soon as you open it, right in front of our tent, within 6 inches, there's a pile of scat, right? Little balls of scat, in that, about 50 balls or whatever it was, 30, 40 balls. I don't know. I didn't count them. There was a big pile of scat, all little blueberry sized,
Your guardian angel scared the crap out of that thing.
Maybe, yeah. I guess he did.
It walked up trying to scare you, and it slunk away. It left scared.
Wow. Really? He would leave that kind of scat? Yep. Little tiny pellet scat? Yeah. Wow.
Wasn't that plus a bear?
Pardon me?
It wasn't a Bigfoot and a bear came to visit you.
Well, it could have been also a bear was there. I did see a bear.
Bears don't like being around Bigfoots.
I don't think it was really a bear. I think it was transformed into a little bear to get in close. It was like within 4 feet from me in the bushes behind, where we're sitting, our logs. I seen a little bear during the night, a couple times visit our site. And I said, what is that little bear here doing by itself? Not quite, big enough to be on its own yet, but not, and also not small enough for mama to be, right on its ass there, wondering where Junior is, right? That's what I was thinking. Where's mama? That's, that's still, pretty young bear, it was only about a year and a half old, it looked like, but I seen it moseying around in that, but its eyes looked, weird, I thought this could be, the big, Bigfoot, like, transformed into a bear. I've heard, that stories of that before.
Well,
different creatures.
Well, with their multiple DNA, some people have called them man, bear, pig. But the thing is, only the front part will be like a man. This side will look like a bear. This side will look like a deer, or it may look like a hog, or it may look like a wolf. Only this part will be. So if it's on all fours, it may look like a bear.
It was, and it was just small, but smaller and on all fours. But its eyes look weird. Like I looked at its eyes. It had eye shine, but it looked kind of strange. Something wasn't right, And
when you see eye shine means they're looking directly at you. They're focused right at you if you see eye shine.
Right. That's when I told my friend, what would you do if you seen I changed it from big. I was going to say big, but what would you do if you seen a bear? Because I had seen that. He was only, my friend wasn't aware that this little bear cub, was right behind us, like less than 6 feet away from us, 4 to 6 feet, watching us going around, different bushes and keeping an eye on us for about an hour. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right. So yeah, that's why when I told him, and then that's when he says a bear. He picked up the log and did that crazy fire dance. Yeah.
Did he remember? Did he have any kind of dreams or remember anything through the night, or he just woke up?
No, because you know why? Because the next morning, no, he didn't. When I told him to get up, and you know what? All right, when I got out and I had a cigarette and had a coffee or tried whatever it was. I had to put some coffee or whatever on the fire there, like to be ready for the morning. Took a couple sips and had a thing. And I called my friend, hey, got to get up right now. Got to get up. Why? What's wrong? Got to get up. I said, the bear crapped in front of the tent. He sticks his head out and he looks around at me. He looks down. He goes, holy smoke, we got to leave right now, he says. He jumped up. He had that whole place packed, all the tent, everything packed down, broken down and packed up. 15 minutes flat, ready to ride away,
Well, he had a
I've
good
never seen
night's
a guy
sleep.
move so fast in my life. I'm telling you. He was actually bewildered big time when he seen the bear scat right in front of as soon as you open the door and he seen that. He was like, it meant something to him. He didn't tell me, but he says, we have to leave right now. Right? He knew it was something important. Okay. Right. So, but as we're doing that, we packed. I'm ready. I'm just waiting for him. I see there's a forest ranger there, down where the Bigfoot was in the grove just below us, right? In the Saskatoonberry Grove, the smaller grove, right? The newer growth compared, like we're over in the old growth section, right? He had a little beagle dog, and it was going around and around looking to catch a scent. So, and I'm watching him. My friend came after him. We're watching him, and he won't talk to us. He didn't ask us nothing, right? Each time I tried about 6 different times. I opened my mouth. I tried to say something, and he would give me the strangest, weirdest, like, don't you dare. I know what you're going to say, ask about Bigfoot or something.
Yep.
Don't you dare ask me anything. He was glowering at me big time with hatred. Don't you ask me nothing, type of attitude, like in his eyes and demeanor in his face. And I see the dog is going round and round. It comes up into our site where we're camped, running this, that. And I said, yeah, it was there. And it was there, but it couldn't get the scent. It kept trying and trying, right? In the end, they left without the scent and tried for an hour to get the scent. This ranger, he would not talk to us about anything. And I was thinking, how the heck does he know this thing was here? Right?
Yeah.
How does he know that it was here? We didn't say anything. I didn't say anything, Do you know what I'm saying? How did the ranger know that?
A lot of them are called assets. They're they have trackers. Some of them have tracker collars.
Right.
Some of them have belts.
Chipped or something like that.
Yep.
Right. You might have been able to see it from the parking lot further up there. If you were keeping an eye on or watch on these, you would have been able to probably, see his eyes shine as he was down there, or like you said, chipped, tracked, or whatever. That's what I thought too. But that's why, he didn't want me to say anything, that I seen it or whatever. He knew when I had seen it. Okay. In that, but he didn't want the media there or anybody to know about it or anything like that, right? And years later, I see on YouTube, there's right where we were camping nearby, a picture of the same reddish type Bigfoot, but now it's a bit bigger and a bit thicker, multiple years later, and I said, and I've asked a few times, but I never got a proper response back from anyone. I said, when I was, pertaining to information, that any valuable information. I asked, that it did. It looked exactly almost like the one I had seen, but now it was a bit older and, and a little bit thicker and darker and that, but I'm not 100% positive or any, maybe 50% positive. It could be a different one, but that's the one I seen. Okay. It looked really familiar, but now it was a bit bigger and a bit older in that, because that one, like I said, it looked like a younger adult. It was still an adult, but it looked more, not a juvenile, but like, a younger, not yet, like I said, still growing,
Yeah.
it was like I said, only about 7+ feet, right? Not over 8, 9 feet yet or anything like that. The one in the YouTube video, excuse me, is about at least 8+ feet, and also more chunkier, bigger in size after many years, 10 at least 10, 15 more years since he filmed that. So I always wonder if that's the one I seen, because it's in the same area where I had my encounter, you know. So it's
Did you have any nightmares after that encounter?
I had a, yeah, to tell you the truth, I did. I had a couple. It's hard to admit that, because I have to think back, but I did. Did have a couple nightmares for a couple of days, two or 3 days, and then they went away. But same thing with before. I had some other encounter, and same thing. Yeah, I wasn't sure at first, and then the more I thought about it, there was always the nightmares, 2 or 3 in that, right? 2 or 3 days, different the nights. I mean, sorry, 2 or 3 different nights. I had the nightmares, but then they went away. They didn't stay there forever.
Good.
I wasn't like traumatized, like PTSD from that one, because God saved us there on that one. I knew God was with me. It wasn't like the Dogman one I had years ago. I can only tell that some other time, but it's too long right now. But what happened was, yeah, God saved us, both of us. My friend too. It wasn't just me, right? He was a Christian fellow too, right? So in that, of the Christian faith and that, and believed in God and that. So we yeah. So he's yes. I pray for both of us. Save both of us. Not just myself, but both of us.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's also a story we'd like to ask you to repeat on the Friday show also.
Sure.
The tracking, because that's that divine intervention,
Sure is.
and Jesus.
Right. Yes. Yes. Yeah. That's like I said. I was that was 2 years there. I was just all before middle of the road. I always believed in God since I was a little kid and Jesus and all that. You know, the Virgin Mary, all those, right? Guardian angels, whatever, stuff like that. But just, but I wasn't a heavy. Then when it was out west, I don't know. Just there were more like religious people there, and it opened me up more to accept Jesus and God in my heart. You know what I mean? My mom was actually surprised when it had come back. You know what I mean? It had changed for the better, right? Accepted that the holy ones there into my heart, where before, I was just a fence sitter sort of, so that did help. Okay. Right. And like, but I did pray for both of us to protect, save us, I didn't want to see any harm come to my friend, you know, so that was a good thing. But yeah, but like I said, that was, when for the divine intervention one, I have another one where I can tell you about on that day where
Okay.
same thing. I tried to fight. It was there was an intervention going on, and I tried to fight it, and same thing. My head got put down onto the table, and I couldn't fight for the life of me fight it, and boom, I was up. out cold. And then 15 minutes later, I had buses and cars going through my self-serve gas station where I was working the midnight shift, right? And that, but something had happened. There was a huge explosion during a car accident, right? Right across the street from me, right in the intersection where I worked. It was about 5 twilight. That first twilight that comes up, that twilight, like the Twilight Zone, before the sun hits, it's like the gray zone, sort of. Right. Something happened. 2 cars collide, explosion, right? Whatever. And something happened. There was a flash of light. I see it. And my head then got put down because I was already sleeping. I woke up and jumped up. I said, "What's going on?" Right? And my head got put down after I tried to fight it. I wanted to go up, looking around, and same thing, pushed my head slowly onto the table. I was out cold for about 15 minutes. I wake up and then it's daylight and cars are going through, right? And that detour through the station because of the huge accident, cops have it, excuse me, cordoned off a bit. And I had to go out and help one of the gentlemen who was in the car accident. I got a telepathic message to go help him, right? From my guardian angel. Keep this guy alive. It's not his time to die. All right. And what was scary was the 2 cars, T-boned. The one car got T-boned and pushed into the middle, into the light standard pole, right? In the middle of the intersection, like, where you cross, right? The middle pole, right? And what was funny was, the other guy, he was standing like, here's your intersection, like he's standing on the other side where, you just inside there where you cross the street, and he wouldn't come closer to see the guy who he hit, right? That I'm talking to, right? I had to go and act as an intermediary, right? Neither one would go talk to each other. They should have both been dead. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So the other guy's saying, "Look, that guy shouldn't be alive. There's no blood. There's no cuts. There's no this, that. That guy, I hit him so hard. There's no way he should be alive." And I said, "Look at yourself. You're standing here. You shouldn't. You don't have a mark on you, right? Big, huge explosion. You don't even have one piece of scratch or mark on you." So they had to save both of them. Mm-hmm. They couldn't just save the one. They had to save the both. But he was freaked out. He knew something happened, but he was out cold, from the impact. But next thing he's standing there. He's in shock. The other guy. But he said, "That guy should." And I said, "Look, you don't have a single scratch on you, right? You should have went through that, cut. You should have blood dripping down your face from the glass, all this. And you have both of them, not a single mark on them, And it was like a horseshoe, T-bone with the one car wrapped around the pole like a horseshoe. I looked inside, I'm losing my voice, sorry. I looked inside his car, right? The whole car inside was pushed down and crushed. There was only one spot left for that little Italian gentleman that I had to go and save. And it was just where he was sitting, just enough room where he was sitting. Everything else was pushed down to the seat metal. Okay? There was nothing left. If you sat anywhere else, you would have been crushed to death. Just a little pocket for him to sit there. It was the only space left, right? Passenger side, front passenger, and both the back seat were pushed right down the roof to the seats. Only the driver's side, there was a little pocket for him to sit there in that. That's how he survived. Incredible, yeah.
A couple of your stories remind us in some details of Scott, who's in here too. I don't know if you go back.
Right. I remember
that one, but
telling one or two of his stories here. Yes.
We're keeping. We need to let you go. You're having to take eye drops and your voice is breaking. We need to give you a break. We could listen to your stories all night.
Oh, I believe I'm losing my voice.
Let you go, and you'll be on Thursday also.
Friday.
Friday. I can do Friday. Yeah.
Friday.
Well, you got some.
You guys
got
have
some-
any questions or anything? Do you have any questions? Oh, hold on. Yeah, any questions?
Mostly just admiration.
Yeah,
Okay,
everybody's
all right. Thank
Just
you.
very
Thank you.
impressed and very faith affirming. And you're clearly a very special person who has been protected because you're doing special things.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it wasn't easy because a lot of times, I've been scared, and the Bigfoots were telling me, "Don't be scared." I don't know why they always told me that, not to be scared. Gotta get
Well,
Well,
that.
now demons will say that too. Don't be scared of little old me.
Yeah, I don't know. I was
I'm
always
just a little
scared.
child.
Yeah, I'm not 100% trusting, like that, or whatever. I'm always leery and scared, wonder why me,
Good. Yeah,
No.
the comments are
I'm not
just
the hugging the Bigfoot type, I've never
no.
been that type,
I was thinking that when you had your arms out. I'm glad he didn't think
Right,
you were.
right. No.
Because we know some people that would not get a hug.
Right, no. I've never been like that, no.
But mostly everybody's just saying thank you for sharing these stories. They're very, very impressed with how you handled it. Grateful
Wow.
that you shared them.
yeah, great testimonies. It's
Yeah,
a lot of people.
yeah. And I bet
Thank you,
most,
thank
if
you.
not all of these
Yeah,
people.
you
will
have good
put it on
people in your
Friday.
group and your channel and the chat line. I never see, I always like reading the stories and following along in the comments and reading their comments when I'm on, ever in the chat line. I'm always intrigued. You have good, good trackers. Their stories, Parkway. I was amazed at Parkway. He took a long time to explain every detail, and that was really good.
That's what we like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's hard for me because I have so much things that happen to me to try and remember everything.
Oh, you did fantastic. Fantastic.
Thank you. Thanks. Right.
Everybody else seems to be getting sleepy too.
Yeah, thanks, Amy. Yeah.
I can see it.
But we hate to leave. But we will give you a break.
But everybody thanks you. Everybody
Yes.
thanks you.
All right. Thank you.
And we will talk to you on Friday.
On Friday, and we can't wait for that either because we know just those stories alone.
Thank you.
Hey, there you
Heather
are.
says thank you too. Yes.
Thank
Good
you.
night,
There you
Tom.
are.
Talk to you later, Heather.
Friday, I'm gonna have her with me there to talk about a couple of
Good,
the
wonderful.
divine
Good.
intervention stories. Okay.
Okay.
Because the wife always like, let me tell this, or you're missing that detail,
Right. Right. But she helps me, she's our, part of the team. Then when we go out, and
Good.
looking for signs and that, strength in numbers,
Sure,
Good.
sure is.
and also for vision too, so we can
Yeah.
see. But I have a couple good stories for the divine intervention.
Oh, we're excited.
Right.
Can't wait. And
Yeah.
very, very honored to have you.
All right, thank you. I really appreciate it because it helps me too, to understand more what happens and and all that,
Good.
and that.
And also, if you have a few more encounters on Friday, if we could start with those also, then get into the.
Sure. I have the Dogman account, but it takes so long. It's long, right?
We want to hear that one too.
Right. 3 days, in a row. I had the encounter.
Wow.
Every time I went back to the park, it was there 3 days in a row. Okay. So
I noticed earlier that a lot of your stories have the numbers 3 and 6 in them.
Right.
So, but we'll go ahead and close in prayer real quick,
Sure.
and we'll talk to you on Friday.
Okay.
Father, thank you just for these stories of the wondrous ways that you work. Thank you for this man. Thank you for Heather. Thank you for this platform. Let everyone stay safe and let us all have a good night and a good sleep. In Jesus' name, amen.
In Jesus' name. Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
Scarboro, Heather,
Thank you
y'all
very
have a
much.
great night. Have
Very
a great
no, thank you.
rest.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sleep well.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very
Good
much.
night.
Good
Good
night.
night, everybody.
We will be back with you Friday, Scarboro.
Okay. Peace out.
Good
Yeah.
night.
Thank you.
Good night,
Thank you.
Heather. Good night,
Good night,
Tom.
warriors.
Good night.
Take care.
Good night,
Thank you. All right.
warriors.
Okay.
Oh, everyone's
Yeah.
saying good night. Everybody saying amen. Everyone have a great night. We'll see everyone again Friday night or Thursday night, actually.
Which one?
Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. We're gonna have a broadcast on thresholds, water spirits, and things not to do
On this channel.
on this channel. Friday morning, morning tracker talks. Friday evening, we're gonna have Scarboro Sasquatch Station again back with his wife, and for the divine intervention on TrackerE's channel called Tracking Miracles and Encounters. So everyone join us for those. We will see y'all. Have a great night. Sleep well. Get some great rest, everybody. We had a great guest, and we'll see y'all again soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a great night.